So, nobody knows this, but it's been, well, some people know this. I've talked about it on some videos in the channel, but it's been on my bucket list for a while. This lofty, unreasonable goal of mine to run or play in, maybe not necessarily to completion because time and the nature of games, but every single solitary Pathfinder First Edition adventure path. I've played in Rise of the Rune Lords, but now here on Black Dragon Gaming, it's time for my first foray, other than Doomsday Dawn, which I don't really count, into the world of Pathfinder's official adventure paths with Wrath of the Righteous, our bi-weekly patron game. Tim and Adam and Jason, thank you guys so much for your support on Patreon, especially you, Tim, given that, you know, the government. Yeah, it is indeed most honorable. And Nick, if you're watching, thank you so much for jumping in. We'll have one more. One more's coming, but he's somewhere where the Wi-Fi doesn't exist. He's off with Ron Swanson right now. He can't be bothered, I guess. So, for those of us who don't know about the ways of the Deus Vult, Wrath of the Righteous takes place, to just go straight into it, in a place called Mendev, which borders another place called the World Wound. 107 years ago in Pathfinder's lore, based on the year where we're at this AP, a very important deity, the god of humanity, Eridan, died, and when he died, a giant rift opened up in the ground and demons began pouring out, and for the last 100 years humanity's been crusading against it, and all the crusades have kind of just like petered out. No real ground is made. Fortunately, the World Wound cannot expand because there's a ring around it. These magic artifacts known as ward stones, which keep the demons out and keep the corruption from spreading past this line. Every crusade has been everybody show up and Deus Vult, and then eventually it fails horribly because a lot of demons everywhere, and the cycle has looped for about 100 years. We are presently at the I don't necessarily want to say end of the Fourth Crusade, because the Fourth Crusade didn't really end so much as the Fourth Crusade just kind of petered out. Everybody ran out of gas. The Fifth Crusade is about to kick off. Officials throughout Mendev and Lastwall and the regions around the World Wound say that in the next few days, the tide of everything is prophesized to turn, and that's where we grab 75% of our brave heroes. Since we're all playing custom races, and actually you guys, after the game, if you wouldn't mind, I know we've all talked about them, but if you could give me a write-up of this is the RP that I used to build it, so I can put it in the description of the YouTube videos, that'd be sweet. Our party, for all intents and purposes, no one necessarily knows each other, but you all find yourselves in the city of Canabres, which is just smack on the border of the World Wound. We won't do an in-character reflection, as we don't really have that much to reflect on, but we will do another introduction, and if you would, at the beginning of every session, I am playing this. It is a big dwarf, small sylph, fairy kind of thing. So we all know, what's going on, and if you would, just introduce your characters once again, and where might we find you this day? Boom. We begin with, we'll start with Adam.
Yeah. Boy.
The littlest one.
So, my character has changed probably the most, as I am no longer playing the theoretical abomination that would have been what I was going to do. I am now playing a vivisection alchemist, still with the race name of the Burrells, which isn't as funny if you know what it was supposed to be referencing now. But my name is Kieran, and I'm playing a vivisectionist alchemist. And I don't know if you can see my current character art. It is an abomination if you like.
Fortunately, only us can see it. Nobody can see it on Twitch or YouTube.
It's abomination if you like soft colors, but it fits the Fae perfectly because I'm almost 100% sure everything is not right in my head, but I am surprisingly very stealthy, even though I have the loudest colors you will ever see.
Well, when you're the size of a house cat. Yeah,
I mean,
things,
yeah, that
things. Yeah. So I guess one final detail I should note. Today, we'll pick up the game at around sunup, but today is a very special day in Kenabres. Today is the holiday of Armas, which is pretty important for this part of the world because it's like death surrounds you. This is one of those places where a lot of GMs will give a lot of players a hard time for like, oh yeah, sure, you're hanging out on your day off in your full plate with your magic. Well, why, yes, you are. Because literally right outside town, there's demons and stuff. So the fact that this holiday is celebrated is really important for the city of Kenabres because there's just not a lot of time for celebration in this part of the world. It's more of today is a day to... What's up?
Christmas of World War II?
Yeah, pretty much. This is also the day that like squires will be selected, people will be appointed to positions of like office in the church, etc., etc., etc. That kind of thing. And where do we find our smallest friend?
I'd probably either be scoping out and just doing basic Fey benevolent assholery.
Okay. What is your alignment again?
Chaotic neutral.
Oh, good. That's so close to what we're fighting. Hooray. Okay.
But I am a follower of Callistre, so as I am close, I'm about as far away while being close as possible.
Accurate, yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure it was Sarenrae, Desna, and Callistria that all went and whooped some serious demon ass.
Yes, that's accurate. Over the loss of a follower of Desna to, I forget which demon lord. That demon lord's dead now, I'm pretty sure. In any case, so I guess the follow-up question is, what would bring Kieran to the World Wound? To this, like, a place where death surrounds everyone, especially a Fae, something that's pretty far removed from the events of Galarian and the events of, like, mortality.
So, I don't like the idea of... Because, like, to me, Fae are all about fun and mostly painless humor. Because there are some twisted Fae that think walking into a bar and cutting up your head is a funny joke. Because there's a class combination that can do that.
Yeah.
And so the idea that the World Wound is a portal to someone who just enjoys pain for pain's sake and finds enjoyment out of it is so anathema to my ideas that I'm around to offer my services, even though I've been alive forever. I'm only level 1, but...
Awkward how that works. You spent the last couple hundred years just kind of really slacking off personal time.
But I have the ability to create some alchemical items and stuff, and I can help in what I can do.
Okay.
Also a way for me to fight my battle.
To fight your battle, yes, sir. And you actually probably 75%. I forget how old our fourth character is. I'm going to say 66% now, which is an awkward number given Wrath of the Righteous. But most of the characters in the party today are definitely old enough to remember when Eridan died, when the Age of Lost Omens kicked off and the World Wound opened. So it's probably a lot more personal, especially for Kieran and the overwhelming population of Kenabres, or rather, the population of Kenabres, rather, is overwhelmingly human. There are a small smattering of others. There are, like, some half-elves, some halflings, and, like, a small, like, you guys hang out here. But by and large, like, the people who have come to Crusade, they are situated outside of the walls because there's just no room. Right? Just gigantic tent cities, basically, outside the walls of Kenabres. People definitely, certainly recognize you, you know, because you're bright and shiny, and it's hard to not. As you go flitting around... Oh, let's pass it to someone else. Here, evens is Tim, odds it is Jason, what are you playing today? Who are you? What are you?
Okay, character's name is Delvin Slagborn. His race is Forgekin. Basically, I'm a giant dwarf. So think of a dwarf, but large size. And as far as that goes, it means that, so like I said, large, class is Magus, and he probably today, if people allow work to be done, he'd be in a smithy of some sort.
They definitely, like, work is, like, off today because it's a holiday, but there are some industries that can't stop in the whirlwind. One of those definitely is they're not far away from here, about 10 miles outside of the city. There's a humongous stone quarry, and stone is back and forth via heavily guarded caravans every day to reinforce walls, to build new, like, towers and fortresses and things, everything in between. But smithies as well, yeah, for sure. Iomedae has a very strong presence, the goddess of justice and the Deus Vult of Pathfinder. So long swords are made pretty much on a non-stop basis to fulfill the needs of all these crusaders that are well and truly being rushed all throughout the border. And you had I meant to ask you, Jason, I know you took Foul Brand as your drawback. Do you have it on your hand or your head?
Hand.
Oh, well, that's less fun. Okay, fair enough. I was hoping you'd say head so we could tattoo Baphomet's holy symbol, but fine. Delvin is one of the, I think the only character in the party who took a campaign trait, and he was in his...
did.
Oh, you did? Which one did you take?
Reformed Orphan.
Ah, neat. Fair enough. I have spoken so horribly for everyone. Delvin has, in his younger days, he was meant to be a sacrifice for the god Baphomet. Demon Lord of Minotaurs, mazes, and all other things horrible. As a result of his time, fortunately, he was rescued. Baphomet's, not his holy symbol, but his, like, Demon Lord brand, which kind of just looks like a big T, is permanently on Delvin's dominant hand on the back. All attempts to remove it have basically just caused you a lot of harm, and any and all clerics who see it at this point now are basically just backing off on it. It seems to be like it's not a bad thing. It's just there, and it's a matter of if they try to heal it a little too hard, they worry about loss of, like, motor control as your hand racks with pain every time this happens. And Kieran, you turn the corner, and you've never seen Delvin before. At first glance, his proportions, a big dwarf kind of looks like a hill giant with a beard, sitting at a forge next to... There's not a lot of dwarves in Canabras, but there's a couple who they know of Delvin's curse, the condition that made the forge born, and they might not necessarily talk about it, but they're not going to run off what's basically kin. So in the refugee camps, again, Kieran, you turn the corner, here's this gigantic dwarf, and Delvin flitting around the corner outside of the blacksmith. It's a very open air setup, and you turn to look as the hammer comes down, and here's this about the size of your hand little tiny fey creature, little tiny potion bottles clanging off one another as it turns, and you guys both just kind of see each other. The rest, of course, is up to you. Oh my.
Yep.
I saw a D20 at the board, and I'm like, Adam, no, be nice.
Are you sure you're doing that right?
With an 18 on craft weapons, yeah, let's get a craft check from Delvin.
Okay. Well, need to start adding into that, so that's going to be craft, so that should be an 18.
Okay. Why, yes, Kieran, Delvin is doing maybe not like the most splendidest of jobs, but he is 100% making the weapon the way it is supposed to be made, literally as you would imagine it should be made, as both of you have the same result. two int-based level 1 characters with 1 rank in the thing walk into a bar and roll the same thing.
Yeah, so you are. That's actually pretty good work. How long you been around here? I haven't seen you before. I would have seen you.
I'd probably, well, not the most charismatic of individuals, say, I've been here a while. If you'll pardon me, I'll get back to my work and just keep going to town.
There are a couple other dwarves in here with Delvin, considerably smaller. They see Kieran just kind of like, nearly simultaneously, both of their beards floof forward as the of the like disgruntled dwarf seeing a fae come in, and then they too go back.
Yeah, I'll be here when you're dead. You'll be fine. I'll flitter over to Delvin and kind of like land on his shoulder.
Okay. The tiny creature is certainly able to land on the large creature's shoulder.
So, don't you want to go have fun? I know you're like a giant or a dwarf or some mixed breed of the thing, but it's like party day. If party day was to be a day, it would be today, and you're in here.
I enjoy the work.
On that note, can I get a quick knowledge religion check from Kieran? If you don't have religion, history would work.
Also, you can always
I got that and that.
Okay, so with the
There you go, 10 on both.
yeah. So you
No,
might not necessarily know a whole heck of a lot. Delvin, especially now that you're standing on him, everything seems to function. He doesn't have like a disability or anything like that, but it doesn't quite make sense. The proportions are really, really wrong. What he is couldn't exist in nature. It could probably exist in the first world, but here on the material plane, like, there's definitely more at play that
Is
made
there some
Delvin what
arcane
Delvin is.
dabbling?
Yes. You're not sure what. It's hard to put a finger on it, but that's definitely what went down. Yeah, somebody somewhere messed with maybe just Delvin, maybe more than just Delvin.
Well, I understand. Trust me, I enjoy my good day in my lab. But you really need to get out and live life, because yours is limited.
Isn't everyone's?
Yes and no. I could exist forever in a cave. That's not much of a life.
The dwarves all take offense. They don't say anything. The two dwarves who are here are trying their very best to just ignore you until you flitter away. Then you say spend the rest of your life in a cave, and they both just
I said
glare
sit
at
in
you.
a cave. I could sit in a cave, do nothing, and live forever.
Back to the work, doing their very best. Not today. Not on our mess.
I enjoy this because I have also a negative charisma. So the fact that I'm slightly pissing them off.
Yeah, no, they're not happy. They're keeping it in. It's today's a holiday. It's also, you're clearly a crusader and infighting amongst the crusaders. Although it's rather prevalent in Canabras. Though we're crusading, we're not all. It's case in point, Kieran, lawful good and infighting with a bunch of people showing up itching to fight things, and then you put them all together. Bad things happen, and they know this, and they know the punishments are severe, so they're just back to work, beards floofing.
Well, and I'm sure part of it for them is also that they luckily the Fae is bothering me and not them directly.
Accurate.
I would ask you to go out for a drink, but I don't think I can buy you the 5 barrels necessary for you to have a...
You just get a mild chuckle in between swings. Oh, by the way, while this is going on, I'm still primarily focused. I'm listening, but
the majority of your attention is spent making the weapon.
yes.
Okay, let's make it a quick craft weapon challenge then, if and you would. 3 checks.
Okay.
Okay, that's a number.
That should be
27?
yes.
Okay, solid. Less solid.
12?
And 21.
Okay, that's good enough. So while this conversation is happening, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you had said Delvin's primary weapon was going to be a bastard sword. Is that right?
I went through the custom design weapon, and I'm calling it a Forgekin Maul.
Forgekin Maul.
Yes, it's a one-handed melee weapon, does simultaneous slashing and bludgeoning damage.
Okay. What's the damage
And,
dice?
D8 so on medium, so
2d6
for
for
me
you.
it's 2d6. And yeah, it's basically if you've ever thought about a wood splitting maul.
Okay.
So basically it's an axe but much broader on the backside to make sure it, it's not just that it slices in, it's meant to slice in, break anything, and
just kind of
split
power
it.
through.
Yeah.
Okay, sure. What's the crit range on it like?
1920.
1920 times 2, I guess?
Yes.
Okay, and it is now completed. As Kieran sits on your shoulder, going on about all the ale he would need to buy to get you drunk, and the dwarves do their very best to ignore you. You put the finishing touches, pull this gigantic beast
It's
of a
about
weapon.
5 foot long.
Yeah, out from the water. The dwarves look at it and say, "Hey, it's not bad, Delvin. What do you call it?" The other dwarf comes up to inspect it, pulls out one of those like monocle that like it starts out being like normal size and then beep 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 beep, beep forward so he can get a really like good look at it.
This is one of the things my kin use quite a bit. We call it a Forgekin Maul.
Hey, seems like you could split a Baelor's head clean in half. Well done! And the dwarf goes to like what would be a clap on the shoulder of one of his kinsmen. For you, probably lands like on the rib cage, just kind of like awkward, almost like side hook. Just well done. And for Kieran's appraise skill, it's pretty good. It's again, it might not be the most masterful of weapons you've ever seen in your life, but it will definitely, maybe not split a Baelor's head, but it would split a dude's head pretty easy.
Okay.
You can probably also, I imagine for a tiny creature, the large creature's axe hammer is more than wide enough to where you could run up and down the haft.
Actually, there are cutouts in the blade that you could fly through.
And that too. Nice.
Just a kind of a side question.
Okay.
Are we using the dynamic magic item creation rules?
I'm not sure what those are.
That's the Pathfinder Unchained.
Oh, yes, we are. We
I know
definitely
something
are.
was said about Unchained magic item creation.
We will, what that is to explain to everyone watching, what that means is when we go to craft magic items, there will be a table with percentage dice, and events will happen that the whole party has to participate in. So it's not just Delvin or just Kieran doing it. And then depending on the results of checks and things, the weapon may be cheaper, the weapon may be more expensive, it may have different effects on it, etc., etc. They're really fun. I was using them in 3 Dragons for a while, and it takes a process that's really boring and grindy and gets everyone involved, and some of the things that come out are just real weird. Tim knows. Tim's the one that showed them to me. Speaking of Tim, I thought about bringing Tim in on the live forever notion, given the character, but then the dialogue kind of ran away from me a little bit. Tim, what are you playing? Who are you? What are you doing?
All right. Well, my name is Tempe. I am a female. Galeus is the race, and they're like more humanoid versions of wind methods. And I am playing a dual cursed oracle, very, very old dual cursed oracle, as in 252 years old.
Much old.
Yep. And right now she would be probably in one of the healers' tents, like just healing folk up, and
Okay, that's fair.
being
And one thing we should note here now also is we are, since this is a Pathfinder official adventure path, and I didn't want to like doctor all the encounters in such a way that like it's no longer the AP, rather than make everyone play on a 15-point buy and make the Magus and the Vivisectionist and the Paladin, who will be joining us next time, suffer, we tiered out the point buys in such a way that the class, like the Oracle, who really only needs the 1 to function, has 15, but everyone else has a 20, and some classes that are even like, dare I say, bad, would have all the way up to 25. And Tim is the only, we have 3 20s and a 15, so this will be a very good test of, is that good, or am I going to kill the Oracle too much? We'll see. In any case, Tim, the amount of wounded in Canabras never really stops. There are definitely people, maybe not necessarily you, but less divine casters, more like commoners who are unskilled, basically are tasked 100% with the creation of bandages just sun up to sundown, because people get hurt all the time, whether that be from overly rowdy crusaders who got too drunk one night and like started a bar fight, or actually people coming back after losing an eye because a quasit flew up and pulled it out of them. It's busy work, definitely, for sure, and there's always a shortage. If everyone mechanically like took a cleric level here in Canabras, there would still be a shortage. People, as Tempe got here, and Tempe's reason to come to the World Wound, I believe we had said is because she's old and she's nearing the end of her days and she's gone out to explore and stuff. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And this is definitely the place to do it. As a 252-year-old woman, you certainly remember the day that Sarkoris was no more, and the day that the World Wound opened, refugees fled across the river, well and truly to, at the time, a very tiny city, Canabras. There was pretty much open arms for these people until not long after the World Wound opened, a Merilith came in under the disguise of one of these refugees and then broke the disguise inside the walls, killed 62 people, teleported out, and ever since then, Canabras has been real leery-ish for strangers. Like, they'll definitely, especially because you're here to join the 5th Crusade, no one's going to ask you to leave, but definitely you with the most, like, without being a fae, the, like, true outsider blood. A lot of people give you sideways looks as you come by. You might definitely pass for the blood of a Mephit, might also be confused for the blood of a Quasit, especially given your size. Nevertheless, your skills as a healer are definitely, again, like they're just super needed. And this is around the time that you look up after getting done bandaging up some poor human kid. He'd gone out to the World Wound and he took a spear through like here, where his arm becomes his chest in that joint. He got real lucky to not take it in the heart. And you look up, and across the way, you knew there was the dwarves had set up a little, like, battlefield forge, basically. And you knew one of them was a little bigger. Well, you can make a good religion check, actually. I bet you can. Oracle. And fun.
If he has the intelligence.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, you got nothing on why that dwarf. He kind of looks like a really malformed hill giant, because that was actually my girlfriend came up with that, because I went downstairs and I was like, hey, what is if a dwarf was large, what giant would it look the most like? And hill giant, because the proportions would be real weird.
Yeah.
Not sure what it is, but it looks up, and it's carrying this gigantic, almost as if made to split firewood maul axe, with the little. You probably don't see Kieran so much as you see like perhaps a small nimbus a la Navi and Link, that kind of thing, just a little like the flitting of something.
I see like something colorful on his shoulder.
Yeah, pretty much. Just a little pink dot on the dwarf.
That's interesting. Why does he have a bird on his shoulder?
Yeah.
They're a parrot in the world wound.
Because there was a pirate. A pirate came a crusading. And this is around the same time Kieran sees Tembe as well. A little, about the size of like a gnome. Elderly woman. The air seems to kind of crackle around her. Not constantly, but like the wind might like whoop a different direction. There's a little like, almost like an aura of static electricity around her, kind of at all times.
Doesn't actually deal anyone any damage.
Of course,
maybe
yes.
Some people will like, you know, stand right next to me. But.
The worst it might do is like make somebody's hair stand up.
Yeah.
Mild
I'll
static effects.
right up into her face and be like, "There's another one."
Can I help you, little? What the hell are you?
That would be a knowledge, the planes, actually, to determine. I'd let nature slide, too.
Alright, so that's going to be... a 10.
Okay.
I rolled a 10.
A 10 is enough to identify a fae. A very tiny fae.
And by the way, I didn't earlier, but that reminds me I would try to figure out what he was as well. So that'd be a 19.
Okay. So then you would definitively know that the Burrell, they are... And now I have to remember... The Burrell are... He's definitely a fae. He comes from the First World, where the sprites and the... everything from something as benign as a sprite or a pixie all the way up to like creatures of nightmares, a la literally the boogeyman. Where they hail, his kind have always been... They are very opposed to anything that would put shackles or like cause harm for the sake of more than just the mischievous prankster side. And it's not uncommon, though he's the only one around here now, for these guys to have a pretty big problem with evil.
Fair enough.
Now, I would like to preface it with, that doesn't mean I won't or wouldn't have been labeled as evil.
Okay, that's fair. That makes sense.
Because, especially here, if I remember the storyline correctly, y'all are a bunch of pompous, righteous, honorable assholes.
I certainly am.
For the most part, it's like I said, Iomede's presence is pretty strong out here.
Yeah, fighting dirty is not in her style.
It's not, no.
Pretty sure it's actually anathema for a paladin of Iomade to fight dirty.
Yeah, Iomade would definitely... It's kind of a... Don't run with this too far if someone's thinking about playing a paladin of Iomade, but like, it's kind of an ends justify the means thing. As long as like it gets done and it gets done honorably, I don't think Iomade would mind if you like dirty tricked someone. But there, of course, is a line. She is definitely the most stereotypical of lawful good deities in Pathfinder IMO.
There's a difference between good tactics and
just being a crappy human being, yeah, basically. Stabbing a dude is cool from behind if you are flanking them.
Yeah. Which is another reason why I was kind of glad I changed characters, because I started thinking about that going, I'm not going to have any respect.
No respect. Yeah. Well, Vivisectionist is still a sneak attack based character.
Right, but I'm not in your square causing you to take like a -8 to hit anyone but me while having a 40 AC.
No, fair. Makes sense. I guess I'm glad I don't have to GM for that, too.
Well, then dirty blind and pulling your pants down and...
In a world where the demons are all wearing pants now.
I'll tie your leg hairs together.
Flawless. Anyway, there's a little tiny fey creature flying up in Tempe's face. Delvin, as far as I know, Delvin's still back at the tent. The dwarves are just, do you know him? Do you know that wee one, Delvin?
No. Colorful enough, though.
Colorful enough. It hurts the eyes, says a dwarf in Torog's holy symbol on his tabard in just kind of a very dull steel and brass and like copper colored hair and beard. Just too bright, hurts the eyes. Oh, we need to go back to the mountains. You can't say that. We can't go back to the mountains. You know the humans need us. Make their weapons, fight all the demons. I know, but... Kieran is probably, despite Kieran's size, loud enough, I imagine, to... What are you? Flying right into his face to be heard from pretty far off.
Well, on the bright side, if he lands on me without me knowing, I might accidentally swat him. I say that with a smile to the other two dwarves.
And both the dwarves, they just fall out. I might accidentally swat him. Oh, you might hit that, lad. Because he probably could fit in a large... Yeah, a cat can fit in a large creature's palm with room to spare. Just dead.
If it landed.
Yeah, pretty much. There's a surprise round. Right, suddenly the game Mr. Mosquito for the PS2 comes to mind. Man, that game was weird. Anyway, so Kieran is up in the face of Tempe. Kieran is being loud. What are you?
Sorry, can I help you, little one?
Yeah, when'd you come across?
What?
When did you come to this world?
My people have always been here.
But no. You came from the first world, right?
I'm from. Can you name a mountain? Set of mountains that are kind of far away from where we are now.
Okay, a set of mountains that are kind of far away. You could reasonably be from the Five Kings Mountains. That's far away, but not so far away as to be. Well, no, you're a very strange thing, and you've journeyed very far over hundreds of years. You could easily be from Tian Sha's Wall of Heaven.
I come from the Tian Sha's Wall of Heaven mountains range. That's where my people have resided for millennia.
Oh. And like, as my wings will also slow down. And I'll kind of just lazily fly back over to the dwarf.
Back over to Delvin.
Oh.
Do I see him coming?
Yeah, you would see him. Unless Kieran would like to not be seen. He's pretty visible, as bright as he is.
Oh, well, he's still a good way off. I'm pretty sure the other Smiths see him too.
Yeah.
I'll just go.
Well,
facing away from Kieran.
Gotcha. They see this, and they at this point they don't want to necessarily be rude to the poor thing, so they just like both of them kind of hands over beards that are blustering out with laughter. We need to get back to work, and they turn and continue to produce more weaponry. At this point, over the course of making Delvin's weapon, it's been Oh, probably a couple hours. It's probably like 10 a.m. mid-morning. At this point, you all three can hear the sounds of opening festivities inside Canabras proper, and probably actually out here in the camps too. This is a holiday that's about the appointing of squires, the signing again to like join the priesthood, etc., etc. But of course, as one might expect for like this kind of settlement, it's accompanied by feasting and jousting and other tests of strength and skill and things of that nature. You, as Kieran's flying back, you hear the sounds of a couple of horses galloping at each other and like the roar of the crowd as a joust is being held. Basically just kind of like we've made a square of people so the horses don't like to have made the jousting ring out here in the tent city.
So, are you wearing your helmet, Delvin?
Actually, I probably would not have a helmet on, but I would have a hat of some sort.
Okay.
So I'm gonna like land on your neck and kind of like just push your hat forward. Like, come on, you're coming with us. You too. We're going to the party. Because I said so.
A pupil the size of your head swivels to look at you.
Just
yes.
well.
Yeah. Well, here's my dilemma. Would I stay and work? Because I would probably assume that I've probably been working for a good bit.
Yeah, you were probably, I imagine if you are the most dwarvy of dwarves, despite being a dwarf, it's like an hour before the sun's up, you are making preparations, like getting the forge ready and stuff, and it's been all morning. Actually, matter of fact, Kieran, as you land on his neck, it's probably pretty sweaty.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that the world wound is truly, it's a cold tundra. It's hard work what Delvin is doing, and Delvin's gear is sized for Delvin in such a way that Delvin can make bigger weaponry, and like full suits of barding for heavy horses are a lot easier for him. But again, he's stuck in front of a forge, working his butt off constantly.
Come on, respect your elders. We're going partying.
Okay, that would get a full chuckle.
It gets a chuckle from the two dwarves who just, "I go, Delvin. Our mass comes but once a year." We were just getting ready to, and one of the dwarves looks at one of the other dwarves, at the other dwarf rather, just, "We were getting ready to go to the square. We're a little too old for the jousted. Perhaps we could, wait for the opening ceremonies. You hear the prelate himself is going to make a speech at noon."
Well, I suppose this is a good enough place to the rest is fine-tuning on this. I'll move them all around. I'll whip it through a quick manual of skill.
Okay.
So
I'm very tempted. Yes. Would Kieran make a reflex save? Kieran is able to dodge as suddenly Delvin starts going through the motions of swinging. The blade could easily, like, if it hit a human in the neck, it'd go, like, through the clavicle into the chest and well and truly split them. If it were to hit you, it's more of a fly swatter effect, I would imagine. Nevertheless, you are more than capable of, like, backflipping in the air out of the way.
The fun thing is a bigger weapon is not always more effective.
Accurate. As suddenly Delvin is very aware of the sling and I imagine some kind of dagger. No, you're playing a vivisectionist. I'm thinking you're playing a knife master. Is why I asked why no throwing knives, because I'm so used to putting them together. So is it just a sling? Is that the only weapon that Kieran is carrying?
Yeah.
No, fair. Suddenly,
a sling and 400 sling bullets.
400 sling bullets. And enough sling bullets to encumber you. No. I imagine they are much lighter when they are about the size of, like, my fingernail.
I was thinking a grain of rice.
Fair.
It's great. I'm literally the character who sits there and goes, ow, ow, what?
Ah, why?
Right.
Oh, I'm dead now. Sneak attack. Sneak attack doesn't care about the size of the damage dice. Fair enough. Well, anyway, the two other dwarves at the forge, they both clap Delvin on the back and just, we'll see you at the square at noon, huh? And off they go. They both, I lost my headphones. Come back to me, headphones. There are a couple of ponies tied up not far outside the forge, and they both go untie their mounts and begin riding into Canabras proper.
Well, I'll take off that direction as well.
Okay. And
I would ride, but there aren't many horses big enough to...
Not really, no. And most animals around that size, unless they're accompanied by, like, someone who is very clearly like, I am a druid, they would get the same funny looks as, like a tiefling would, given, the diverse nature of fauna on Galarian that isn't often understood by a lot of folks.
Hey, if it's smaller than a mammoth or an elephant.
You probably break its back, yeah. Accurate. Okay. And what do we have for... Well, I'll say you guys go to leave and Tempe sees it. The big dwarf and the little glowy fey thing on its neck begin lumbering south in the direction of Canabras.
And Tempe is done with her work for the day as well, so she's going to start heading off that way as well.
Okay.
Yeah, you're coming too. You don't get a choice. I'm not even offering you a choice. You're coming.
And Delvin feels all the hairs as Tempe gets a little too closer. This little greenish looking thing walks up next to you, and all the hairs on your arms suddenly stand up, as if like a minor static electricity effect had hit you.
I'll try a knowledge planes.
Yeah, that seems good.
18.
Okay, so whoever this clearly elderly native outsider is, she clearly has some connection both in terms of her race and in terms of something more to the elements of electricity. Delvin, as a magus, knows that if, he might not necessarily talk about it, and Kieran definitely would see it because he would have to be pretty big, but there's definitely a spellbook somewhere on Delvin. Magic's not foreign to you, and if you wanted to, you could snap your fingers and your hand would start flooding with electricity, and you could tag someone, protect yourself with magic, or make your attacks a little better with magic, things of that nature, and you recognize it when you see it, though it's definitely not the same school of thought as where Delvin comes from. For Tempe, it seems a little more natural, a little more like she has a connection to something. Hard to say, though.
I'll nod respectfully. Keep going.
Okay. So you guys, as you begin making your way through, you definitely pass everything from full-on, people have made a square of bodies where a simple joust can be held, to a table has been set up. And by table, I mean mostly just, here's a crate, let's throw a blanket over it. Or not a blanket, probably more like a saddlecloth over it. So every test of everything from, simple games of chess or checkers to full-on, big burly dudes arm wrestling. And they all kind of look up at Delvin as Delvin walks by, because Delvin's out of their weight class. And they all just kind of, oh.
Every so often, I'll pause and, kind of stroke my beard doing maybe I should join.
You certainly could. Today is the day. Actually, you know what? The percentage, should I say 54? Yeah. As you guys are walking by, a pair of pretty burly for their size, from Delvin's point of view, humans kind of locked in a just a full deadlock arm wrestle with each other, and Delvin's shadow falls upon them. And then they look up and they see this thing and they look at each other, and they've kind of fortunately they both stopped at the same time, otherwise it'd be a clear burp or burp as somebody lost concentration. They see Delvin and just, "Oi, we'll take you both on." Or rather, I said that wrong. "Oi, we'll both take you on." And they put their arms down in such a way as to grab one arm here, with Delvin's ham fist in the middle to do well, no, that wouldn't work either. They both have to grab one side, wouldn't they? Yeah. A 2-on-1 arm wrestling contest.
Sure, why not?
Okay. So there's not really much of a share for Delvin, given the fact that Delvin is much bigger than the people. It's more, I imagine, if Delvin just takes a knee, and one of the men pulls his chair around, so they're both on the same side of the table, and they both set their arms, and they grab your wrist to forearm, and we'll call it 3 strength checks. Yeah, another strength challenge.
Okay, here we go.
I'll run down his shoulder and his arm and stand on top and be like, "All right, I'll start it when I take off."
Okay.
Go. Ready?
23. Nice.
Set.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah.
Okay. So you, as soon as Kieran says go and jumps up, it's not hard for Delvin. Delvin just kind of, despite these two well off for their size human men pushing against you, it's about a 2-second of wobble before they just kind of into the crate, and they've lost horribly. The crowd that has assembled around them and rapidly is assembling more as suddenly this giant thing and very loud tiny thing are making a bunch of noise. They erupt in cries of jubilation as Delvin wins, and Kieran and Tempe both see that several platinum pieces are being passed around back and forth. There's a man in the center who seems to be organizing all of it. Gambling is not necessarily forbidden out here. It's not looked kindly upon, but you can tell as the two men, they get up and they walk away, and a much burlier half-orc, not quite as big as Delvin, but his muscles are considerably bigger. Says, "All right, my turn." Slams his elbow down. People start making bets back and forth between Delvin and this much bigger green-skinned man.
I'll flitter literally down on top of the ringleader's head and kind of just touch down and be like, "So what's Delvin's cut?" Looking down over the top of his head.
The man leans his head up as if to try to look. You would fall unless you responded. He leans upward. Just wow.
I could just tiptoe over.
Just kind of walk down onto his forehead. Whoa. Delvin doesn't get a cut. We're just simple men making bets among ourselves. If Delvin would like to place a bet, or if you'd like to place a bet, that's your business. Little thing. And the eyes blink rapidly as suddenly the bright colors of Kieran assault the senses of this poor human.
Sure. Here's 1p.
Okay. Does Delvin wish to continue to another round?
Yeah. Arm wrestling seems to be a good dwarven thing to do, so...
Fair. Okay. Give me 3 more strength checks, if you would, please, then.
Ooh.
Nice. Well, that's nice. Not as bad as it could have been. You guys haven't fumbled this whole time. There have been a lot of D20s thrown around.
You be careful with the words that you use.
This one puts up a little more of a fight. The half-orc And around the time that Delvin starts pushing and the crowd starts like cheering and chanting, they don't necessarily know Delvin's name so much as just big dwarf, as they push. Delvin notices that the half-orc over top of his breastplate he wears, you don't necessarily recognize the beast, but the hide of some great animal bandoliered around him. And the half-orc rapidly begins foaming at the mouth as he goes to push. His arm shakes less with the strain and more of just the amount of adrenaline that suddenly just snaps on as this guy goes to push. And it's a little harder. Delvin goes back a little this time, but ultimately is able to slam the half-orc's hand into the ground, or not into the ground, into the crate. The crowd erupts as the ringleader returns Kieran's gold piece and 1 extra.
Good match, friend.
You too.
Where's the other 9?
The other 9?
Yeah, 1p.
Oh, I thought you said 1 piece. So then you would have now 2 platinum. I thought you said that like 1 piece of gold.
No.
You have doubled whatever you bet.
Aha!
What could be done next? So at this point, the people are a little more... people go up to, like, they're going to challenge Delvin, and then they don't, because they are starting to chicken out at this point. It takes about a full minute of... At this point, all of the contenders go to, like, converse with themselves. After that minute passes, a rope is brought up to the arena, if you will. The rope is tied to the saddle of a horse. The man who mounts the horse he's not comfortable with it. His sigildry of Yomade shines in the morning sun. His face is a little less Deus Vult. We're gonna say Deus Vult so many times in this AP, but that's okay. It looks like it's hard to say at this point. The crowd's kind of like up to a fever pitch, but it looks like they want you to
arm wrestle the horse.
Pretty much. Take the rope, wrap it around yourself, and what happens. At this point, it's getting a little out of hand. Like I said, lots more platinum is being passed around as people are making their money back and just double or nothing. Quick, let's bring up a horse's stats. Well, Delvin?
Why not?
Okay. The crowd goes pretty nuts as Delvin picks up this rope and ties it around his wrist. The man on the back of the horse is, again, he's not comfortable with what's going on, but you're not sure why he's doing it. It might be... Okay.
What do I know about horses?
What do you know about horses?
Delvin.
I'm sorry, you cut out a little. What did you say?
How much do I know about horses' strength compared to Delvin?
Compared to Delvin, it's probably gonna be closer than anything else that he's gone against so far. Mechanically speaking, this won't be strength challenges. This will be a opposed CMB. With the knowledge nature check, Kieran would also know that the horse is trained for war. The horse is probably not long after it was born. It's been reared to charge into hordes of demons unflinching. That's not to say if a little pink thing were to fly into its ear and start making funny noises, or perhaps cut a rope when no one's looking, or things of that nature. You couldn't skew things in Delvin's favor. Of course, if you were to be seen in the act, it would be cheating. But in Kieran's eyes, I have to wonder if that's not more just harmful prank or harmless prank.
While he's deciding on that, I'll talk to the gentleman on the horse. Just say, I don't know if this is a good idea, but
I don't know if it's a good idea either, but I owe that man, pointing at the ringleader, more money than I care to try to win back if I do this. And the crowd is clearly, like, lots of folks have assembled, and whatever the ringleader's cut happens to be of things, it's probably going to be quite a bit. If I do this, it'll buy off my debt to him. By the inheritor, may I never gamble again.
Well, win or lose, at least we provide entertainment.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Now, at this point, I assume I'll be standing up and I'll hand off my maul to someone.
Okay. It's probably more like 3 someones, but yeah.
Maybe that half-orc.
Yeah, he could. It's a little harder for him. He certainly couldn't wield it, but he can heft it.
Yeah. Friend, hold this for me, please.
Okay. And he can get it about waist high with one hand, like as far stretched, almost like power stanced. He could wield it if he really wanted to, but not as nearly as well as you could. He'd be more of just like flailing at someone with it.
He'd have to wield it two-handed.
Yeah.
Whereas the one-handed for him.
A little less battle axe and a little more like Astaroth, or rather a little less Astaroth from Soul Calibur, a little more like Nightmare, where it comes behind him and he has to just like.
For him, it would make a good pole arm if
Yeah.
it wasn't so top-heavy.
The weight is indeed weird, yeah. Okay, did Kieran want to do anything to influence the outcome of what's about to happen?
Nah. I'm just intrigued.
Okay, in that case, we will make 1 CMB as the man sits astride his horse, grasping the reins a little less to control the horse, like as in to go, but more like to make sure the horse doesn't like run into somebody's tent and hurt somebody, as the ringleader comes up and raises his hand and just go, slaps the horse on the flank. Respectable. Let me get my mod in before I roll. +5.
Are you sure that +4 is your CMB?
That's what it showed on my...
Should be your strength plus your bab.
His bab is 0 as a Kensai. Is your strength?
0 and strength is 4.
And then it would be 1 higher because you have a +1 to your CMB for your size against your large.
Oh.
So you and the horse both add the same, and you're 24. Just the horse never moves. The horse like goes, and there's actually. Here's a quick ride check. The man is thrown from the saddle as the horse tries to go. It's not really much of an effort for Delvin. You just kind of flex, and the man is just forward out of the saddle, careening onto the ground. He looks a little scuffed up. He definitely it's hard to take a fall like that and not hurt yourself. The crowd erupts in cheers and laughter, and the ringleader comes up and lifts Delvin's arm. And by that more just taps your not tied up arm and raise this now, come on. To hold your arm up and just this is our new champion. And everyone, as the knight gets up and dusts his tabard off,
I'll walk over and offer a hand.
The man takes it. Oh my. Oh, and as he gets up, he moves over to his horse. It draws his sword as he does so, cuts the rope off the horse. Y'all thought it was going to murder the horse there. Not quite. Cuts the rope off the horse and just, easy there goes. The horse's eyes are rolling, mouth frothing, stamping, clearly not comfortable with everything that's gone on.
I'll fly up to the ringleader and be like, 4 platinum, please.
And so it was. And Delvin didn't even have to true strike.
Friend, if I told you I wasn't at all sure it would go that way.
I wasn't either. Oh, I tell you, she and I, nodding in the direction of his horse, we've survived many a charge into ranks of them. Never thought we'd be beaten by one of our fellow crusaders. Ah, well, happy Armas to you. And it's around this time the sun is beginning to approach its zenith, and horns begin to sound from inside Canabris proper as the opening ceremonies of well and truly the actual holiday where the squires will be appointed and things of that nature are about to begin, and everyone just kind of like drifts that direction.
I'll fly up to Delvin and be like, here you go. Here's 2 platinum.
Thank you.
I mean, you did the work.
That you did.
Well, all I can say is I'll get the mall back and thank the half-orc for holding it.
He nods. Nods, and at the same time you see like every muscle in his body relax as he no longer has to carry that thing.
Thank you, friend.
Anytime. And he begins moving in the direction of the gate into Canabris proper.
I guess it's good I finished this morning. I'll, roll my shoulders. Must have been a good warm-up.
The half-orc chuckles. The knight who's got on the back of his horse, and he just kind of like looks at you and nods appreciatively at the quality of the weapon you've made, and the fact that like the knight probably knows his way at least rudimentarily around the forge as well. All of the games that are taking place in the camp have ended at this point, and you guys kind of just fall in line as you begin making your way in the direction of the plaza. It's a bit of a walk. It's especially because with the influx of crusaders into Canabris. Bless you. Canabris is a pretty big city, but like it's not so big as to support all of these people who have traveled all across Galarian to fight demons, so the streets are pretty packed as you guys go squeezing through, but eventually you guys do make the plaza proper. Could everyone... Well, go ahead.
Is Tempe with us?
I hope.
Yeah.
Mr.
If you've been kind of hanging around us, I'll offer a hand to get you up above the crowd.
Okay.
Tempe is one of the few small creatures in this city. There might be a halfling here and there, but by and large it's humans.
Well, you're older, and I don't want you to get trampled. That would be impolite.
Well, thank you.
Delvin, can you carry this? It's kind of heavy. As I essentially hand you my backpack, which is about the size of a belt pouch for you.
Yeah.
Kind of headed me.
I'll put it in my shirt pocket. Not a problem.
Sometimes it's get the barbarian to do all your carrying. This time it's the magus. I can't. What rhymes with magus that works with that? Get the barbarian to do all your carrying. Get the magus to. I got nothing. Damn it. Anyway, moving forward. If you guys can make a perception check for me, please.
Okay. Perception should be.
Okay. You guys have done so well today. I'm so proud of you.
Shut your mouth.
Especially Jason. Jason was... I remember the package. So you guys get to Clydesdale Plaza proper. As I quickly scroll through in my phone, I promise I'm not texting anyone. I have Twitch over here. I have Fantasy Grounds over here. I have the AP here. The plaza is set up outside the Cathedral of St. Clydewell, which is... St. Clydewell himself was a champion of Iomade who sacrificed himself to seal a horde of demons within an inescapable prison. The cathedral itself is a great stone thing. Green copper steeple and stained glass windows portraying the imprisonment of all things creepy and chaotic evil. This is usually... Tempe's probably been here. This is where wounded warriors are taken to be healed, and Blessings are made here before Crusaders venture out. Also, if you die in the World Wound, the warriors who were brought back on their shields, as it were, they are interred in the like under this thing. The plaza itself is traditionally it's used as the festival grounds. Usually just caters to like the old money, as it were, in Canabras. Canabras is set up on a hill, and there are 4 sets of walls. Think Minas Tirith. It's a lot like that. There's like the outsides. The outside district is here, and then you go farther up the hill, and here's another one, and farther up, here's another. And the higher up you go, the more old money you go. The more of this was what Canabras was before the Crusader influx, and we all quickly have to just rapidly, A, defend against demons, B, build way too many taverns and inns and flop houses for these people to sleep in. With the perception check, you guys both notice as you fall in line, as you fall in, like, the crowd that's assembled in the plaza, standing next to you is, he's probably about as tall as, like, just under Delvin's chest, this blue-scaled lizard folk, who appears to be a lot more with it than the average lizard folk. Kind of just falls in next to you. I might say every dozenth scale seems to glow a bright silver as the sun reflects it. He's standing next to a human woman who appears to be about as old as Tempe, with just platinum silver hair. The pair of them are deep in conversation and don't seem to notice you.
I assume you mean for a human, she's about as old as me.
Yeah. It's a sliding scale. You understand.
Okay.
When I say about as old, I mean about as venerable. A horn sounds from inside the cathedral, and out comes an elderly man who you guys would all recognize as the city's prelate. His name... would you have a first name, sir? I don't want to just call you Holrun. Prelate Holrun is... He's been here a while. He's the most famous witch hunter in all of Canabras, and he's kind of the de facto military leader, and he approaches this podium. To the sides of him, there are several... they might be about 15, 16, 17 years old, some even younger, human boys and girls who have been selected as the squires for local nights and the ceremony where they're going to walk up and be squired, as well as folks who are going to be knighted and anointed as priests, etc., are all lined up behind him. And he approaches this podium and he goes to speak. He clears his... And when this happens, you guys all see the sun is fully at noon at this point, but his shadow, the prelate's shadow, and the shadow of every other everything casts just hard to the east, as if the sun was suddenly approaching from the west. There is a loud explosion. The crowd around you begins to panic. The lizard folk looks to the silver-haired woman. The silver-haired woman looks to the lizard folk, and the silver-haired woman looks in Delvin's direction. Delvin feels something pull at the back of his mind. Does he resist?
Anything that would be trying to get into my mind, I don't know if I would be... Yeah, I would resist.
If you could make a will save for me.
Okay.
Okay. A 20 is pretty good, but it's not good enough. You look at you can tell the source of the mental intrusion is coming from the elderly woman, and it pushes into you, and you look at her, and she just applies a little more pressure and breaks through any of your mental resistances. And in your mind's ear, you hear, "I need you to throw me, dwarf. Now. If I polymorph here, people are going to get hurt. I don't have enough room." And you can, as this is going on, both Tempe and Kieran are fine because they're on the back of a large creature, but several people are rapidly milling about aggressively as the explosions intensify all around you. The lizard folk has his hand on the old woman's shoulder, not to brace her, but to brace himself.
Okay. I Tempe, sorry. And I'll put her down to the ground, reach for the old woman. If she's talking in my mind, I'll just ask her, do you step on my hand or do I take you around the waist?
Do you speak Draconic?
No.
You probably at least understand it at this point. It's just a shout in your
Okay.
In your mind's ear, just in Draconic over and over. You don't understand what she's saying, but it's now seems to be the notion.
I cast Stone Thrower and give her a fling.
Okay. As you do so, she seems a little more in control of herself than you might imagine as she goes up. And about the time she fully clears your shoulder, a silver tail erupts from her back, and the lizard folk grabs onto that. And as she rises higher and higher and higher, the rest of her body rapidly shifts as a polymorph spell ends. And before you all would know that Canabras is protected by, in addition to several crusaders and people who live here, but most notably by an ancient silver dragon by the name of Terendelev. Terendelev is, like most dragons, she can be kind of aloof, and it's clear she was attending the festivities disguised as an old human woman, and it's a snap as a defiant roar echoes as this dragon rises up with the lizard folk scrambling up her back to get a, maybe not necessarily a mounted position, but a position where the lizard folk can also fly, as you guys also see a massive red form rise on the other side of the plaza. You probably see the whip before you see anything else, I would imagine, as it dangles down. Actually, matter of fact, as it dangles down, it, like, not as an attack, not as the crack of the whip, but it kind of just casually rakes across about a dozen odd people. And as that happens, their curdled screams of agony begin filling the plaza as a vorpal flaming whip from a Baylor casually just runs across them. The plaza erupts into chaos, and it's clear that Canabras is under attack. What do you guys do?
Okay.
I'm gonna start running toward the battle, I guess.
Okay, there's not necessarily a battle so much as, like, it looks like a Baylor and a silver dragon are about to collide in midair. Where you guys are is just chaos. If Tempe's on the ground, Tempe has to stay pretty close to Delvin, or she's going to run into the mass of people that are now actively trying to get out of the plaza and mostly are just tripping on each other.
Oh, are those the only two combatants, though?
That you are aware of.
Okay.
You can definitely see several pillars of smoke are erupting all over the western half of Canabras. The half of Canabras that faces the whirlwind.
I'd probably start climbing to Delvin's pocket to go get all my stuff.
Fair enough.
All right. Well,
I'll reach. I'll reach down, pick Tempe up, say sorry, and does there appear to be... Well, first off, my plan will be to move out of the immediate area, and second will be to look to see if any groups are forming to, fight effectively.
Okay, sure. Make a perception check. It doesn't seem to be that there's anybody trying to... And thank you, Adam. He knows why, and you'll all know why soon. There doesn't seem to be anybody organized to do much of anything. It's just mass chaos. Certainly there will be certain crusading factions and knights and things that would have, by nature of where you are, had to have remained on active duty today, even though it's a holiday. But they're not here, and as you look around, you hear the sound of that silver dragon cry out as she careens into the ground, perhaps like 50 feet away from you guys. As that happens, she lands on several humanoids who are, you assume, crushed to death. The Baelor lands with each of its 2 legs on her wings, pinning her down. You don't see the lizard folk. The Baelor raises up its sword, and as it does so, at the same time as it's doing this, where you guys are standing, a rift opens, just kind of out of nowhere, before anyone has time to react. In the snap of a finger, it goes from being about yay big to engulfing the entire plaza as you rapidly begin to fall. Delvin and Tempe look up as Kieran is in somewhere where he can't fly out of the formal start of the AP. Good on you, bud. You guys look up and you see the silver dragon, bloodied, reach a claw out and cast the thing. Did anyone have spell resistance?
Nope.
Okay, good. I guess I'm glad that Nick didn't make it, because if I couldn't pass that spell resistance check, he'd die. And you guys feel your descent begin to slow down as you slowly fall. The last thing you see before this chasm closes is the Baelor brings his sword down on Tyrendaliv's neck, severing her head. Everything goes to black, not black as in dark vision, black as in you contact a thing. Some time passes. All of you... make a perception check, everyone, actually, if you could. Okay. So Delvin doesn't really notice a whole lot of much, except for the fact that when Delvin's eyes open, both the dwarves he's been working with are in a pile of rubble, crushed to death.
At least it wasn't a 1.
At least it wasn't a 1. Then he'd be crushed to death. Tempe and Kieran both come to, and the first things you guys hear are just some... Ugh, where am I? Where are we? What is going on? Be silent, Holgus. Does anyone... My eyes. And you guys look and you see an elderly elven man hastily wrapping a bandage around his eyes, but you both definitely see for a split second the ruined state of his vision as something clearly grazed across the side of his face, permanently blinding him. He covers up the wound. He does not cover up the blood that is gushing out. A portly human man stands up and just, this is an outrage. What is happening here? Well, who, where, what is that? Looking at Delvin. And
well, I should say I'd be around when they died. I just didn't think it would be so soon.
Kieran also notices the half-orc has landed with Delvin's maul. It has golden axed into his chest from the fall, impaling him and killing him. You see the back end of that knight's horse. You do not see the knight. All of these are buried under piles of rubble, and there are several more humanoids who have died from the fall. As you guys look around, there's a human woman begins to stir. She doesn't really say a whole lot of much. She just kind of like gets up to a seated position, putting her back to the rubble, not seeming to care that also means like dangerously close to someone's arm hanging out at an awkward angle, just eyeing everybody.
Everybody okay?
Am I okay? What even are you? Is everyone okay? I'm perfectly fine. Thank you very much. Christopher, very fine. Don't need Tyrendalev casting no spells on me, as the fat human man goes to dust himself off very clearly. He's capable of defending himself, but he's the least put together of everyone who seems to have survived. Basically, just he got lucky.
Calm down, sir.
What are you? Who are you to tell me to calm down? Do you know who I am? I'm Holgus Guerum.
Okay, I'm going to cast Enhanced Diplomacy and then roll a Diplomacy on him to try and get him to calm down.
Okay, if you would, please. This is where the fumble's going to come in, now that the rolls matter.
Oh.
Okay. There is a set DC. I'm scrolling to it. It seems to not be the most effective. The human woman looks up at you and says nothing, just eyes in your direction. The older elf He looks in your direction, obviously missing the mark by, probably about a foot. Now that he's lost his eyes but retains his ears, it's just... I don't think you'll be able to reason with him. Horgus is difficult on the best of days. Isn't that right, Horgus? I don't need nothing from you, Vashio. I don't need to take any of this. You can't even see. What good are you down here? Demons are attacking Canobras, and now a member of such your fancy wizardy stuff, and you can see the elf is leaning on a pretty fancy-looking staff. Can't even properly defend us. What are we supposed to do? What if that hill giant over there turns on us? What do we do when he gets hungry?
Peace, neighbor. Can you help me? If you can find anyone trapped under rubble, if you'll start in that direction, I will start the other. You find anyone alive, call me, please.
Okay.
We may be able to save some.
Make a diplomacy check.
Diplomacy, so this would be...
Was that plus 12 with enhanced diplomacy?
Huh?
Is that plus 12 including your enhanced diplomacy?
Yeah. Yeah, it's plus 10 normally.
Yeah.
So you go to talk to the man, and the man, he's pretty pale as it is. He goes even more so. It's just, I ain't no choice could speak. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna go this way out. And the elf looking, he gets a little closer to the mark with Delvin, given his size. And just, again, friend, Horgus is difficult. I imagine if anyone survived the fall, if they were as lucky as we were, with Tyrandulav's last breath, it seems she's saved our lives, and maybe they landed gently. I believe the rocks did not, as he puts his hand out, feeling where, like, he runs his hand along a boulder, and then as the boulder goes to give way to another bit of rubble, he contacts somebody's leg and quickly pulls his hand back.
Well, if nothing else, I'll start searching to see if there are any survivors.
Okay. Give me a check, Stone Cunning. Oh, you traded out Stone Cunning. You're not a true dwarf.
Yeah.
Okay. Perception is probably fine. Knowledge checks are good if they're relevant.
I'll fly in front of Horgus and be like, well, you probably want to stay with the group.
Diplomacy.
Yeah, you gotta make that diplomacy check. He's very, very unfriendly at the moment. As this is happening, Tempe mostly finds the dead. There's probably like a, not mechanically, but like the expenditure of like a healing spell that fails to function. As you cast a cure light, or like a cure minor wounds rather. I know that spell doesn't exist in Pathfinder, but you get it into somebody's arm and it twitches a little, but it's like clear on a dead body. Nothing's gonna happen. Right. Meanwhile, Delvin finds the body of that lizard folk. He seems to be whole. Most of the damage on him is not necessarily superficial, but he appears to have just landed a little awkwardly and knocked himself out. His scales somehow seem to still shine that resplendent silver even down here. Also, does anyone in the party not have dark vision?
This guy.
Okay, so it is pretty pitch dark for Kieran.
I do not have the spell light. Do you?
Have never needed it.
One moment. The elf picks up his staff and taps it to the ground, and as his staff blooms in a nimbus of light in the cavern, truly the shadow that is cast off him of his now ruined eyes is taken in the full. Some of his hair also has been singed off, as it becomes pretty apparent to you guys that Baylor's whip must have been among the people who was grazed. And Kieran goes to talk to Horgus, and Horgus just, no, get out of my way. What even? He's actually gonna They all have stats. I didn't think I'd need them, but that was enough of a bad that Horgus is going to try to push past you. What's my CMB? It has a +4. Alright, I see you, Horgus. Aren't you guys so happy that I rolled it? As he does, so he goes to like push past Kieran, and in the act of trying to push the flying house cat, basically, he leans a little too far forward as Kieran dodges, and he tries to chase, and he ends up just falling flat on his face. The human woman sees this whole thing happen. She doesn't have to stifle a laugh, but she does quickly look away as her eyes light up as that happens. The rest of Delvin's digging also just yields dead.
I'll flutter down onto his back and be like, "You were saying?"
I was saying that this is beneath me. Get off me, you damn fairy thing! And he goes to like roll around as to like swat at you, basically just rolling around in the dust, making a fool of himself. At all this, the elf, he moves into the center really cautiously, using his staff as sort of like a minesweeper, if you will. All right, enough. If we're going to survive this, we need order. It's clear that even without my eyes, I'm the most qualified here. However, I will need eyes. Who volunteers? And he turns to regard everyone. Horgus is beside himself with Salty. The human woman says nothing.
It shouldn't be me, but I have a feeling like I'm the best one to be the scout.
Do you speak Sylvan?
Yes.
Of course you do. So does this man, and in Sylvan, just little one. I will need someone to guide my magic, please. On my shoulder. We'll get through this together. All right.
Does he have a hood?
He does not. If he did, it was shorn off. As you get a little closer to him, there are singe marks all over him. This man clearly dodged death by literally that much.
Horgus, you have too much clothes on.
What? What'd you say to me?
Can I borrow something of yours? Cloth?
He's a pretty rotund man, Horgus is. But as you say this, he puffs up even more. What? How dare you? No, you can't borrow my clothes. Just ride on the back of the knife here and make sure he doesn't get himself lost or killed. We might need his magic to survive this place.
Right.
Seemingly completely oblivious to the fact that literally Horgus couldn't see without the light coming from the elf's staff.
Right, but I was gonna make a satchel.
Make your own satchel. Why should I make anything for you? I'm a businessman. I'm a merchant. Satchels cost gold.
What's a fair asking price for a satchel?
Not much, but this man is clearly...
I gave you 2 copper for enough material to make a satchel.
1 gold piece. No, copper more. This is fine cloth. You see, I've had this tailored special. I can't just give it to no damn first welder.
How about a silver?
1 gold piece. There's a pole at the back of Kieran's mind, as Kieran can actually see. It's kind of like it pings a little minesweeper style as the elf is moving a finger back and forth trying to find you, and then eventually finds you and just... You can ride in my robes if you'd like. You can ride in my spell component pouch. Just shut him up.
Okay.
There are... Okay. lacking anything better to do at the moment, other than something that will probably scare Horgus more than he already is, I will see what resources can be gleaned from the bodies of those who have passed.
Okay. Make perception check.
And if he really needs some cloth or a satchel or to make something like that.
Okay.
You know, maybe even if it's not too messy, the saddle blanket off of the horse.
You definitely can find stuff like that amongst the dead, and it crosses Delvin's mind at first, like, wait, this, that, but it's pretty ingrained in the head of everyone in Canabras. Oh, my lord. Easy, killer. Easy. That's a lot of fumbles. Actually, I think that was 2 fumbles. Poo-poo. You crit more than you fumbled. You crit a lot more than you fumbled. Jeez. It's a good spread. Well done. Anywho, as you begin moving stuff around, it dawns on you that the followers of Iomade are very, very opposed to the notion of, like, being buried with your armor or your sword or things like that. Though they don't necessarily condone grave robbing, it is in fact a waste of a good sword to bury someone with that sword. You can find most of the weapons have been broken in the fall. Cloth from the horse, yeah, that's easy enough to do. Matter of fact, actually, you get a little bit of that knight's tabard as you go to, like, move the rock that's on top of the horse. You pull it up and you realize it's a little less of a rock and more of a bit of the flagstone that was sharp on one end, and it had impaled horse and rider through. So removing it causes the horse doesn't come apart, but the knight's bottom half does. It kind of just flops next to that human woman who she sees it, and she goes to just, like, reactively stand up. As she does so and her weight contacts her left leg, there's a shriek that echoes throughout this cavern as she falls into Delvin. Delvin being the closest and the biggest. I think it's broken.
I'll walk over to her and cast a quick heal on her.
Okay. Make it happen.
All right. It's just a d6 plus 1, right?
D8 if it's Cure Light Wounds.
You're right, d8. And where's my d8? There.
Okay, 3 ain't bad. So it becomes very clear to 635 Tempe over there that, yeah, no, her leg is very broken. You actually, as you put your hand on the leg to heal, you can feel the bone where it sticks out. It hasn't pierced her leather armor, but it has pierced flesh. You can put some of it back together, but before she's ever going to be back to full, she's going to need something a little stronger. Truly, so too will the elf. Like, something more along the lines of, like, regenerate. Otherwise, basically, you are rapidly forcing the bone to heal incorrectly. And I will tell you how much incorrectly in just a second. Gotta do a scroll. Where are you? There you go. Mm-hmm. This is a little weirdly formatted. There's definitely a flat, like, this many hit points healed. You can also, yeah, if you want to make a heal check, you certainly could. Okay, that's pretty good. You are able to, you can set the bone. There's enough wooden debris that you can set the bone and fashion a simple crutch for her, so she can stand up and just. Thank you, little one. It's good to know that not everyone here has lost their sense of empathy, as she glares in Horgus's direction. I'm sorry, I don't think that we've been introduced. My name is Anivia. I'm in your debt, I suppose. The elf says nothing as all this happens. Horgus just scoffs and looks away.
Is it time to move out? Because standing here is not getting anything done.
Yes, we need to figure out where we are and what our next step should be.
Okay, hearing that, that was enough of a poke to get the elf to do a thing. He rolls an 8. He adds quite a bit. Yeah, he adds more than enough to know. There are several caverns beneath Canabras. Old sewers, parts of the town that have been built over. Remnants of the time of the First Crusade. I imagine that's where we are. Certainly there would be a way up somehow. Though rumors of the children of the First Crusade persisting down here, why they do persist. But I agree. We should move. You are correct. Someone will need to lead us. Little one, if you could just point my arm in the right direction when the time comes. I would appreciate it.
All right.
Oh.
Well, I will start heading off and see what's around then.
Okay. So the first thing as you guys begin to start moving, the first thing that becomes readily apparent is you guys aren't going to be moving very fast. The elf is blind. The human the bone has been set and there has been positive energy applied to it, but it's not truly healed. Both of them are moving pretty slow. It's going to be slow going, picking through these tunnels. What's that knowledge nature check for, Kieran?
Just for the cave. See if there's any of use or unuse.
Okay, makes sense. Let me do a scroll here.
Use or negative use. Because negative use is also important.
Why, yes, it is. Okay.
Arguably more.
So as you look around, you can see up to the end of the elf's light, and then after that it's black, but you have to imagine you fell quite a ways. The parts of the cavern appear to be kind of man-made-ish, but most of them have just been kind of like built around natural formations. You definitely, you can, with that knowledge nature check, you can notice that over in the middle there, right, I miss being able to ping, but to Delvin's straight 3 o'clock, there is the body of a black widow spider that is awkwardly convulsing. No one seems to have paid it any mind yet, what with all of the hullabaloo.
Good word.
It's definitely pretty disgusting. You hear, actually, there's a muffled, like, chewing sound that seems to be coming from its direction, and in addition, there's, inside the spider's abdomen, there's a bulge. The bulge is writhing.
Ew.
Yep. That's kind of disgusting.
And it appears to be eating something.
More like something is inside of it eating it.
Oh. That's vaguely disturbing.
Yeah. No one, Horgus, Anivia, and the elf. The elf obviously doesn't notice it, but the other two just... Horgus is more concerned with the sad state he finds himself in, and Anivia is just kind of looking around. Tempe moves forward. Horgus just, we're away from me, little one. I'm not letting you leave me behind here to die.
Forward march!
And Nevia seems to have attached herself to Tempe.
Yep.
There are, on the other side, I will unfog of war a little more. 2 passages lead out.
Alright.
And that is within 10 feet. Okay, so as Delvin moves forward.
Nope, I don't want pointers.
Initiative?
Yes, please. Bursting forth from the body of the dead Black Widow are 2 maggots about the size of Tempe. Roll initiative.
Uno momento.
Do you really... The minus 98, is that like something with your curse? Is that right?
Yeah, it's not my curse. It's the it's my major drawback. I always go last.
Gotcha. So Delvin has a what again?
20.
Delvin has a 20. Kieran has a 15. And then I'll roll 2 for these ugly boys that... Well, one of them actually did pretty good. Good job, Giant Maggot.
I only have an 11. 15 with the knowledge nature.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you for being honest. Giant Maggot, which probably has initiative of -1. Yes. Okay, so Delvin is first.
So I am within 10 feet, correct?
Yes. Here, let me get him in like an actual square. There you go.
You're within 10 feet of both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess I will do my best to smacky smack one of them.
Okay.
So this would be... Shoot, what's my... Trying to remember my...
What's your strength? Your strength is 4?
4.
So it'd be d20 plus 4, because a magus is not a full bab.
Yeah. So plus 4, please hit.
A 10 does connect.
Okay. So 2d6 plus 4.
Okay, that's not a bad way to start it off, that being
15.
15 damage. Yeah, you flavor that kill.
I come within range of the first one, swing, and as it raises up slightly to sense where we are, I just basically chop the thing, split it in 2, and the pieces, the top flies backwards about 4 or 5 feet, and the bottom stays where it is.
And as that happens behind you, Horgus, just like oh my god, as he just retches everywhere as this goes on. And Evia sees it, and she's got a bow on her back, and she's kind of like reaching for it. Meanwhile, the elf just like has stopped and is behind the proverbial meat shield as the first one expires. Will that be all, sir?
No, right now. Oh, shoot. Can I cast a spell at this point?
Only if you could cast it as a swift action, and you can't.
Nope. I can't, so I will move over to here. Maybe if it goes, it'll either come after me, or if it goes after them, I'll get an attack of opportunity, hopefully.
That is exactly what happens. This thing is going to move its entire move speed. Well, no, it only has to move 5 feet because you occupy that square, but I have an intelligence of none, so I'm not smart enough to step. It begins to writhe in your direction, and of course it does provoke.
Okay. So, okay, I'm not sure what the modifier is.
Again, 4. 11 hits.
Okay. Let's go ahead and add the 4. And
man, you are killing it. And yes, indeed you are. Flavor that kill.
Hopefully, literally.
Yeah, you got him. Flavor that kill.
This one, I do the golf swing, and as I scoop it up from the ground, the 2 separate pieces of it splat against the cave wall up to his Well, his northeast.
Understood. And thus the sport of golf was invented in Galarian. As this thing sploots against the wall, initiative is off. Well done. Verded, it expires. Horgus continues, so he seems to have kind of gotten himself under control, and then he sees bits of maggot fly into a wall, and it's just more of, at this point he's just dry heaving, but heaving he is.
Realizing that we are not in a safe place, I'm going to go ahead and cast Air Barrier on myself.
Understood.
And so now, along with the electricity, there's like an actual like barrier of wind.
The wind coalesces around Tempe. Okay, cool. What's that knowledge nature for?
Is there anything useful from the maggots?
Not really.
For alchemy?
For alchemy, yeah, probably. The spider is... How long has that spider been dead? That might be a little more important for you. Turns out... the spider is several days dead. And your first thought is anything useful, that Black Widow spider venom, but it's too dead. The venom would have all rotted off. You could... well, you're smarter than me, Adam. What could you get from a maggot that would be good for alchemy?
Well, it depends on what kind of maggot, but some of them have latent toxins and are poisonous.
These guys weren't... Actually, what you could do... They aren't toxic, but you do see in both places where the creatures have expired, their stomachs have been violently emptied as, bifurcation, onto the ground. You can smell it from here. It's disgusting, which means it, of course, could be weaponized. Yeah, that's more than enough. We can have that in place of the fort save as you move forward, and the stench is pretty overpowering, but resolutely, in the name of science, you move forward, and in a mechanical sense, you have roll me a d6. 3 doses of a giant maggot's regurgitate ability in bottles. Once per day, a giant maggot can empty its putrid stomach upon one creature within 5 feet. For you, it's now a splash weapon. The target must make a DC 13 fort save or be sickened for a minute, or until the target spends a full round action with at least a gallon of water. The DC, of course, could be raised over time if this is something you'd want to mess with.
All right. And then I will continue to walk, going to here.
Okay. Anivia follows pretty close on your heels. She's not the fastest, but she'll do what she can. It's the same with the elf who just if he moved any faster, he'd risk falling on his face, and he doesn't look the most robust. Meanwhile, Horgus wipes the filth off himself and kind of just moves along, giving Delvin a pretty wide berth as he does so. And in the process of doing so, he steps on the maggot. There's a squish, and both the elf and Anivia chuckle under their breath as, "Oh my god! It's just my luck trapped down here with a hill giant and some kind of shiny air elemental thing and some kind of fae, and you," looking in Anivia's direction, and well, you damn elves, and now I've got stuff on my boot, seemingly not to realize he also has his own stuff on his boot from where he has vomited on it.
Neighbor, if you call me a hill giant again, we are going to have trouble.
Make an intimidate check.
I do not have the skill, so
It's going to be your
D20
charisma
plus cha.
D20.
It was almost good.
So at this, Delvin, at this, Horgus steps forward. He talks really slowly as he does this, moving forward. What did you pointing clearly in your direction to make sure you understand. Say to me, Hill Giant.
Uh-oh.
The elf continues to meander.
I really wish I could pair these two.
Yeah, I wish you could too.
Okay, we'll try this again.
I hear swords are effective.
Because you might be of some use eventually, and I don't tend to leave people to die. I'm telling you, do not call me a hill giant again. Did I say that slowly enough for you?
Wow!
Oh, man. Well,
But that's not a complete fumble.
it's not a complete fumble. It's a modified one. Okay.
No players have fumbled yet.
Horgus gets a little brave at this point, and you say that, he seems to just message you. Look, I'm not the kind of man to do this. People with my wealth, if they're not, using their wealth to fund crusades and stop things, they buy and sell people like you all the time. I'm one of the richest men in Gnabris. I'm clearly, looking around, one of the richest men down here. I watch your tongue. I'll call you what I want to call you.
I go over here again.
I palm his head.
Hold on.
You what is that?
He palms his head. I'm going to cast Enhanced Diplomacy,
Okay.
and then I'm going to say, please please don't call him a hill giant. We all have to get along down here. We can't afford to be fighting each other. We haven't even gotten out of the first room of wherever it is that we are. We need to be working together. So if he doesn't want to be called a hill giant, don't call him a hill giant.
Alrighty, make the check. Okay, that's considerably better, and the hand comes down.
Would it be a CMB or a CMD?
You would be rolling over his combat maneuver defense.
I'm talking to both of you, too.
Yeah, so this is around the time the hand comes down as if to pick him up, and he isn't armed. Horgus isn't, but his hands do ball into fists as if to resist you, and then Tempe comes up and just, we have to get along, and he... Fine, you're right, I don't want to hand it to this large, bearded man anyway. I might need him to survive. I'd hate to harm him myself. And he steps away and grumbles something to himself. The elf actually is going to... He can feel the air around him. He can't see you, but he can feel you. Just... You're the Galeus, aren't you? I feel the hair on my arm standing. Thank you so much for shutting that fat human up. Now can we please move forward?
With pleasure.
Do we want to go left or right?
Can everybody make a perception check real quick?
Absolutely.
I can roll you a perception check. I make no promises on making it.
That's the spirit. That was almost a good promise. I saw the 20 before it bounced and became an 8. Okay, so all three of you notice it seems to miss Horgus, Inevia, and the wizard who has yet to introduce himself. Just like the bodies that have been pulled out, a lot of them are just kind of horribly mangled and bad. But the lizard folk's body is mostly whole, and he probably will recover. He's taken a pretty harsh bump on the head, and he's clearly passed out from it. But leaving him here as a living creature, not only mechanically is an evil action, leaving him to his fate, but like
It would
He's
not
a player, and we're going to need him later.
correct. Nick will be mad. Help him.
I'll remember the baby Drake and be like, Delvin, do you have any room in your backpack? You should probably bring the baby Drake along with us.
What sizes?
He is size category medium. We have a tiny creature, a small creature, a medium creature, and a large creature.
If only we could get down to diminutive.
Yeah. Start calling your crusading
Actually-
faction the nesting dolls of righteousness.
Actually, if you wanted to go there, I could make it happen.
Cast
We'll
Witch-
reduce person on you.
You're having a
I'm
large
fair.
creature is very important to us. We need a fifth player to play as a diminutive creature,
Yeah, guys, get on it.
Okay.
and then maybe a sixth fine creature.
I'm not going to leave him here, obviously. Is, given everything, that put me at a medium.
That puts you
How
in
much
medium
does he
encumbrance.
weigh?
Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 to 200 pounds.
You can
No,
put him down if they ever get in a fight.
That's true.
Yeah, that would put me up to medium encumbrance as we
Okay.
mosey along.
Which is not the worst thing in the world, given the fact that we're not moving fast with a blind man and a hobbled woman. In any case, as you pick him up, as you move a little closer, you see his right hand is clenched into a fist, and as you pick him up, it relaxes, and 4 silver scales drop out of his hand and land with a faint clatter on the ground.
I would guess he would want to keep these.
But what are they?
If I had to guess, her scales.
But are they magical? I can't detect the magic. I can tell you what it is if you can describe it.
They seem to glisten, but not unlike a silver dragon scales would anyway. They're all 4 of them fit in a stack in the lizard's hands. They're about the size of Kieran's shoulders to waist.
I can detect magic. Is it before we leave the room? Is there any magic in the room? And also, word magic.
You would actually, if you could make a will save, as you go to
Nope.
detect magic.
Okay. Fun.
Okay.
Fun will save.
Fun
No,
will
it-
save.
Well, if you're detecting magic and it's triggering off of that, it might be an artifact.
No.
So
No.
it's nothing
No.
really bad happens. You don't worry about using your hero point. You're
Okay.
fine. But there definitely is a pretty big backlash as you reach out to these things, and Tempe goes unconscious for probably about 30 seconds as the scales all light up and push back. Yes, they're probably magical.
They're probably magical, you say. Yeah, don't say.
Horgus wants to laugh, but has realized that he should probably keep his mouth shut. And Nevia moves over to pick you up, such as she can, having to put most of her weight on a crutch. Just, I'm sorry. Oh, are you okay? Do we need to make another crutch? What happened? I don't understand.
To be fair, I've got a cane.
Oh, fair. Good. Well done. I see a spellcraft check. That actually does not quite identify them. It comes really close. They're
I don't
definitely.
know if that's because I don't have it, so I have to use the spell.
Yeah.
Spell. I get a +10
Oh, fair. Okay.
because that
So
was identified.
a 34 is enough. It's hard to say what they do, but yes, those are clearly some of Tyrendalev's scales. At some point, when you saw the lizard riding into battle on her back, when he fell, he probably grabbed a little too hard, and off they came. As all things that come from a dragon of that age do, they radiate magic. What they do specifically is hard to tell. They are certainly very powerful.
Okay.
Aren't we glad somebody thought about going back and getting him?
Oh, and I don't know if this is going to be an issue, but I as a constant spell-like ability, have non-detection.
Okay, cool. Not an issue. Quite good, actually.
It's the spell seer racial trait.
Okay, seems good. I will remember to roll over that or roll at that. I won't necessarily say roll over that. Should it become necessary.
Right.
Being good is a good thing and a bad thing for this campaign.
Accurate. Anyway, the scales lie on the ground. The lizard folk is, I imagine, just like carried in Delvin's arms.
Unless there's enough of the salvageable items to make some sort of
Like a stretcher.
yeah,
Rickshaw.
a stretcher.
Yeah, you certainly could.
And
The rest of the horse's saddlecloth plus a couple of sticks.
If these are magical, dude, should we divvy them?
There are
between
exactly 4 of them.
combatants. I mean, he's unconscious, so there's. If he wakes up, we will give them back, but we don't know what they do. But they're from the protector of the city. They can't be a bad thing.
if you can figure a better reason to divvy them up, tell me. Otherwise, I will keep them for him. I'll take them, put them in my shirt pocket, and was I able to find enough for a stretcher or a
Yeah,
travois?
there certainly is enough. As you pick the scales up, you Baphomet's unholy symbol flares up in your hands, and you spaz a little as the scales as well flare up, and it's kind of like an absolute evil versus absolute good pushing against each other. And you feel, as you like grab your hand to keep yourself from dropping these things, a feeling of just profound sadness mixed with resolute determination. And as you pick up these scales, that is the trigger for learning what they do. They're about the size of a human's palm. They definitely would have come from Terendelev, and it might have been something along the lines of her own power, might have been something along the lines of when that Baelor's weapon collided with her, something divided by 0 truly made a minor artifact. One of the 4 scales, and somehow you can tell because you automatically know when you pick them up, they will only work if you only carry one of them. You can't carry all 4, they'll cancel each other out. One of them, 3 times per day as a standard action, can be used to cast Levitate, and when this happens, a pillar of rolling clouds rises below whatever is levitating, that being 5 feet in diameter, and it provides concealment to any creature or object which is contained wholly within it. One of them, 3 times per day as a standard action, can be used to cast Alter Self. While disguised, the target gains a +4 on all bluff checks against evil creatures. One of them can be used to cast Resist Elements, but only against electricity per cold. Again, 3 times per day standard action. All of these are standard action activates. The last one, 3 times per day as a standard action, a scale can be used to cast Align Weapon, but only to make a weapon lawful or good. Unlike a normal Align Weapon spell, it can be cast only, it cannot, or rather, unlike a normal Align Weapon, it can be cast on unarmed strikes or natural weapons.
At first one, I want badly.
Levitate for the Wind Mage seems good.
Yeah.
Levitate and the conceal because I have the mist.
Oh,
Or whatever.
Ooh, yeah, you do. No, I see.
Now,
yes.
those 3 powers are divvied up between the 4 scales.
4 powers amongst 4 scales, yeah. So each one of the 4 scales does one of those 4 things.
Mm-hmm. So
Okay.
is there one of those 4 things that you would like?
Yeah.
I'll take the weapon enchantment.
So that leaves Disguise and Resistance. The Disguise one will be kind of bad for Kieran because Alter Self does not allow you to change your type. You would just turn into a different Fae.
I guess I'll take the resistance.
Okay. That leaving the disguise one for our lizard friend, unless Horgus sees them, and he doesn't say anything. He's been pretty cowed, but the eyes of the merchant do kind of open up a little as these things get divvied up.
Okay, what are these things called?
They are Trendalev's scales.
How do you spell that?
I'll put it in Discord. It's a difficult word. Boom. That lady scales.
That's fair.
And if we could get, as we move a little farther forward here, if... Whoop, I grabbed the wrong thing. If Tempe could make a perception check. Her being a little closer.
Yep, sure. Give me just a sec. Yachts.
Okay, the 10. I'm in the back of the AP now that we've passed out Trendalev's scales. So, that's that one. Okay, so you look down. The first thing that crosses your mind as you look down that passage is you, a small creature, probably will be able to squeeze through fine. Certainly Kieran could fit through with no problem. The medium creatures are going to have a little bit of a harder time with it. As far as Delvin goes, he's pretty broad-shouldered, and he either might have to shrink himself, or you guys might need to find a way to perhaps, like, grease the sides of the wall or something, because he's going to have a hard time squeezing through given his size. On the other side of the cavern, you see... it appears to have, once upon a time, it might have been like a campsite, temporary lair or something. There's a torn bedroll that lies next to remains of a fire that have long gone cold.
Okay.
Here, let me do my job.
All right. While he's doing that, I need. So the thing I have casts levitate, and then it also can act as like a fog. You said?
Yeah. Hold up. Stealth noted. It's when you cast levitate. Oh, doing a scroll. Stand by, stand by, stand by. Here we go. Bam. 3 times per day, as a standard action, a scale can be used to cast levitate. A pillar of rolling clouds rises below the levitating object or creature, growing and shrinking with the target's altitude. The pillar is 5 feet in diameter, regardless of the target's size, and provides concealment to any creature or object wholly contained within. So actually, that would work a little better if... Or no, you would be contained in it. Yeah, no, that'd be fine.
Would I be able to cast levitate on someone else?
Yes, levitate targets a creature or object.
So I could cast it on anyone and then hang out in the pillar.
Correct. So as Kieran begins squeezing in, can Kieran make a quick perception check? Are there mods on that, or is it just a flat 11?
Just flat 11. I don't have a wisdom mod.
And no ranks in it, fair. Okay. Okie dokie. So that's probably... As you fly a little closer, you can see just beyond a long abandoned campsite, there are a pile of trash and bones. They're... Some of it might be valuable. Most of it appears to be just trash. Okay, as you fly a little closer, you can tell. I'll go ahead and put them on the board because they won't attack you, but you see them. There are a pair of about your size cockroaches moving around in the trash. Amongst that trash, you find a really beat up and torn bedroll, 3 candle stubs, a fish hook that's been bent, 10 feet of really beat up, questionable rope. What seems to be the most fancy is there's a copper brooch which seems to depict a bat perched on top of a mushroom. Both of the bat's eyes gleam from the light from the wizard. Little tiny amethysts that shine back at you. Of course, approaching to grab these things might raise the ire of the cockroaches.
Right.
I'll take a quick look down the southern route.
Okay. Give me that perception check.
So we're going to do buttons.
Okay, so man, this part of the AP is just not hard for you guys. A stone ledge juts out at a right angle of the south wall of the cavern, 14 feet off the ground. Right? That's so difficult for anyone. The leather strap of a backpack hangs from the edge of the ledge, while above, a narrow fissure yawns up into the dark. Now, of course, as Delvin looks down, Delvin realizes unless Delvin's going to get a little smaller or something's going to be done to the walls, getting through is going to be definitely a pain.
I mean, he's got to get through either way, right?
That is definitely a thing.
So I think it's this.
Okay.
Okay.
So is that you are making a full attack?
I'm sniping.
Okay, fair. They would definitely see you. They aren't smart enough to do anything but run away. Let me see how many hit points. They're probably dead. Yeah, you definitely flavor that kill.
I drop a soft sling bullet in, and I whip it around, and
it's like that opening scene in Fallout 3 where you get your first BB gun and go kill giant cockroaches. Similar effect. Pop, pop, and they die. There's everyone who doesn't see this hears the sound of a rock hitting, not necessarily soft and squishy, like a stale piece of bread. That kind of just like a thunk, thunk.
Because that was
Perhaps a faint hissing noise. Yeah.
that was non-lethal though. So
Oh, well, good. They're knocked out then.
yeah.
All right.
And I'll go over and more thoroughly investigate and pick up those items that I don't necessarily remember.
Okay. They are a torn bedroll, which would probably, maybe not necessarily encumber you, but it's made for a creature bigger than you.
Torn bedroll, 3 candle stubs,
A bent fish hook.
10 feet of badly frayed hemp rope, and a copper brooch depicting a bat perched on a mushroom. Both the bat's eyes are tiny amethysts.
Yep, you get it.
I think you all should be able to see that. I made it public under notes.
Under notes. I can see it.
Yep, cockroaches.
Yep.
Nice. Okay, cool. As for the cockroaches themselves, we didn't get to see what they do. Well, they have a fly speed. I could have attacked you. Damn it. Oh, my bad. I didn't realize they had a fly speed. That's on me.
They died in a single hit anyway.
Yeah, they did. But they could have stealthed an attack. They don't really have anything on them that you could use. I guess technically speaking, they could serve as meat. But that's almost about as far as you got.
I'll go pick up my bullet as well.
Okay, you certainly can.
And
There's
I
also
will
plenty of rocks down here.
quite literally drag the cockroach
Okay.
back. And be like, here you go. You can do what you want. It's still alive.
And a pair of giant cockroaches are dragged back to the rest of the camp.
Anyone else have a use?
Horgus looks disgusted but doesn't say anything. Or Vashtiel doesn't. Well, now you know his name. Hope. The elf has no reason to. He doesn't see them and isn't concerned. And Evia just like. She draws a short sword and looks over at Tempe and just. Do we have a need? I don't think we have a need.
I mean, I've heard that you can barbecue them and they're edible.
Horgus has been cowed, but will still glare at you. It's just the nerve, as the wizard just.
A nice succulent fat pig would be nice too.
And Anivia and the elf truly both chuckle at that. The Fae is not wrong. We may be down here a while.
Kieran, if you could come over here, please. I can see a backpack on the shelf.
Is there an elf with it?
I'm back here, actually. I'm blind.
Oh! I can go try.
It is ridiculously easy for the creature with the fly speed to make the climb check. Okay, so as you fly up to the top, it becomes pretty obvious that during the fight on the surface, there's not a body here, but somebody's pack fell down and got hung up on this ledge. The pack itself is a masterwork backpack.
Oh.
It contains, there's a lot of things clinging around in it. As you go to open it, it's 10 days of trail rations, a flint and steel, a set of caltrops, 2 flasks of oil, a bundle of 12 arrows, a potion of cure light wounds, caster level first, and a potion of lesser restoration.
Lesser restoration.
Quite good.
Perhaps that might be of use to our mage friend.
What?
Our wizard.
What are you talking about?
He doesn't know how magic truly works. Ignore him.
He doesn't know how magic works. He's only a magus. He knows the shocky bits, that's about all.
I will bring the backpack to the elf and be like, here, now we have a better way for me to ride.
That you do. The masterwork backpack is more than, but you could like climb in one of the side pockets and ride along.
I can take the weight out of the pack.
Okay. There wasn't a lot in there in terms of weight, but it would have weighed something for sure.
Yeah, and if the wizard is carrying it, he doesn't necessarily need to carry any more.
That's accurate. He is not the beefiest.
While he was down there, what did he see from the 2 actors?
Ah, yes, if you could make... Well, what he would see is not a whole heck of a lot of much. With 18, the passageway goes around and up.
Okay, and then what about on the top one? Because he was there too.
On the top one, there's... Oh, yes, that's fair. He would be able to tell that.
They meet up. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's not a drop on the top one, right?
There's not a drop. There's a... The top one, there's no drop. The bottom one, technically speaking, if Kieran wanted to, he could fly up into the chasm, but without the ability to see, he'd be lost pretty fast, and there's no telling where it goes.
Okay. Yeah, so let's go up on the upper path.
Okay. So as Tempe moves forward and out of sight, Horgus looks at Anivia and just, well, I don't particularly like you, but I imagine if all 3 of us got behind the big one here and we all push, maybe we can force him through. Might not feel the best, might get some scrapes and bruises, but I mean, unless you want to stay, my large friend, and eat cockroach meat for the rest of your days, might be our only choice.
Nope,
Meanwhile.
not a rogue anymore.
Okay. I'll look across to the human female, and I'll also make eye contact with Karen and say, shut your eyes for a second. Snap my finger and cast the cantrip Flare.
Okay. The cantrip resolves.
I'm assuming at that point, Mr. Happy is looking pretty much straight at me. As it goes.
He rolled an 18 and adds more than 1, so he would pass the save and not be dazzled. Well, what was that for? What are you doing? Why? Why? Why you gotta pick a fight now? Just 'cause the little windy girl's gone, don't mean you can't just start picking fights now. And as he moves forward, it's the mage can't trip him because the mage can't see what the mage is doing, but the mage swings his staff down and collides, well, not collides, but like clacks against Horgus's waist. Just shut up. If I were Homenkainen, if I hadn't given myself to the war effort, I might be convinced to just leave you here to rot, Guerum. And yeah, he already knew. The Galeus is correct. We all must work together, and you serve us best by shutting your mouth. I might not be able to get the man
thing, though, but you didn't have to call him the giant again.
Oh, didn't say the H word. Thank you very much, little one.
And I do appreciate that.
Can I get a quick perception check from Tempe?
Perception, you say?
Yeah.
Sure. Eh, better than I've been rolling.
That's very true. So, down that passage, as you move to the head there, several mounds of rock lie in heaps, recently fallen from the walls and ceiling, and now and then dust settles from like cracks in the stone above as things continue to move around. More importantly, you can hear the sound of something hissing at the end of the passage, just like where it begins to turn.
All right.
Wizard, I forget your name.
I had not introduced myself. I am Arvashnial. He stands up to like his full like 6 and change height, trying to make himself seem a little more important and in charge and in control than he might actually be, given the fact that he's been blinded.
I can cast a spell to reduce my size, but it will only last for a minute.
Then I suggest we hurry.
Well, it would be good to find out what's ahead of us. Our Galeus friend is searching ahead, but I have to have a place large enough to stop. Otherwise, it might get a bit uncomfortable.
You are not wrong, my friend. I would certainly hate for you to have the spell expire in such a way that, well, you know. I can't, with weights in my lip, it's a little harder for me to make the noise, but he... Meanwhile, there's something hissing at the Oracle.
Yep, I'm waiting for everybody else to get up here so I can talk to them.
Okay.
Well,
Everyone's pretty much waiting to see what Delvin is going to do at this point.
I mean, you can always just cast the spell and be the last one to move from the safe area.
that's what I'm thinking.
Because we know up ahead there's at least some area.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Looks like it's
If I had to, I could run back to either of those pockets and survive.
Well, it lasts 10 rounds.
Yeah, so that means you'd move pretty far in 10 rounds, assuming nothing interrupts you.
Yes, but there's a whole lot of unknown past there, so yeah, let's do it. Reduce person.
Understood. Right. Wham! That's just so fun to do.
I just
here. When you did that, it'll just save you a little bit of space.
That makes sense, and I move at a full. Oh, but we also have to bring the Uh, at this point, I'll look at Hogarth and say, we have to bring the lizard man with us. So between the two of us, we should be able to
All right.
bring him with us.
Hargis nods. The marching order is going to go first. Tempe's not there yet. I need to know. I need to know where Delvin stops. Delvin's move speed is. It's going to go Delvin, the mystery lizard, Horgus, and then Anivia, Aravashnial, and Kieran will bring up the rear because everyone understands that Delvin has to go first because when he starts growing, he's got to find a place to park.
Okay. Yeah, I'll...
Bringing a large creature into this part is going to make this the grindiest dungeon ever. I'm glad I have a random encounter table.
Okay. Well, I'll head to the front and...
Okay. So from Delvin's point of view there, Delvin can see that a cave viper has been disturbed from its nest. It hears you guys coming and just hisses.
I guess it'd be just a flat intelligence check because I don't have knowledge nature.
Okay.
I know anything about them other than they're vipers and they live in caves? Like, is this a...
You would know, maybe not necessarily about it, but by and large, little reptiles like that are, with the exception of, like, Kieran, who obviously is on the menu, given Kieran's size. And Kieran knows it and is shaken for the natural one, because this thing is 2 size categories bigger than Kieran is. It's probably just angry because it's wounded. It's, as you look a little closer, you can see that it's got a bunch of scrapes where rocks have glanced off it. If it wasn't frightened, it might just run and hide. Matter of fact, it certainly would, given that you guys are a lot bigger. With, again, the exception of Kieran, who's on the menu.
Right.
Makes you wonder how many like sprites and I can't think of the man. It's an improved familiar. It's not a sprites, brownies, pixies. There it was. Those kind of things have actually turned up as meals for like CR1 snakes. Weird. Anyway, so I need to know before any other checks are made. Where does Delvin stop?
Okay, Okay. There we go. I wasn't getting a full view of the... Actually, that being said, I would head at least... Yeah, I would come and take a half step over.
Okay, so that's where the spell ends. As you grow, the snake gets frightened. If we could roll initiative again.
Okay.
Actually, don't. I'm going to keep the initiative that you guys rolled to save time. I'm just going to roll for the snake, who goes not last because Tempe is last forever, but the snake doesn't roll too well. Delvin is still first.
Okay, well, that being said, let's just double check. It's going to be +4. So, come on. Does a 13 hit?
It might. Stand by, bringing them up in my app here. Snake Venomous. 13 actually does just hit his flat-footed.
Okay. 2d6 +4.
Oh, that's a d20. Well done.
Yeah, that I only wish. Okay, sorry.
It's all good.
And
Nice. Average. Okay, given the fact that the snake is wounded, if you would flavor that kill. And you guys were worried about the scaling point by.
We haven't yet.
Yeah, fair.
I step forward, flip the maul backwards and just flat crush its head on the floor of the cave.
And the snake dies a horrible, miserable death as the as the reduced person ends, and the snake is dead. GG snake. From here, moving forward, actually, if Delvin can make a quick perception check.
Okay.
Delvin being the one who's entered the room and all.
Nice.
Okay, solid. It looks like from here, from this point, the cavern is going to move forward for quite a while, and that one's a little wider, so Delvin can squeeze through, whereas everyone else is moving pretty fine. Hopefully, as long as that holds, you won't have to continue burning your spells to function.
Well,
but you don't see or hear anything, which leads you to believe it's probably going to be quite a while.
Yeah. Well, I guess this is where we're at. I guess I take off my backpack, and at this point I can basically put it in one hand, drag the stretcher, or toss the lizard man to help move him.
Okay.
So actually it probably would work better if we can work it out for the merchant to go in front of me. I can use my forward hand to hold the back of the stretcher, and I'll bring up the rear. I
Okay.
can one hand on the stretcher, the other hand on my backpack, and shuffle sideways.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it has to be. Horgus isn't good. Oh, okay, if you really want me to go for a fine, I guess we follow away from that damn thief anyway.
Timpy, perhaps you might want to stay in the front?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to be in the front.
Okay, so it looks like it's going to go Tempe, Horgus,
And he disappeared.
goodbye,
Yeah.
Tempe.
I think I'm technically right there, but
Yeah, I see you. Hold up. Stand by.
can't hold it.
You found the edge of the map. Okay, so it's going to go Tempe, then Horgus, then Stretcher, then Delvin. And Nevia will bring up the... She's going to go behind Irivashniel and Kieran. As you guys make your way down, it's quite a while. There's just quiet trudging, basically, as you guys push past. I guess also on that note, Kieran would know that snake was probably venomous if you wanted to harvest its venom with a craft alchemy check. It certainly wasn't big enough. Why, yes, there you go. Venomous snake from the bestiary. 6 doses. Nice. He was a very juicy snake, even in death.
You're welcome. I, made it easy to get.
That you did, you animal. Okay, so as you guys begin making your way down, there's a lot of all over the place.
Would I be able to go back and get some of the goop?
Some of the what? I'm sorry.
Goop from the things, the maggots, as like a alchemical grease component for when we rest. Make that.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not going to be the prettiest, but you certainly could. Just doing a quick scroll. Okay, so as you guys begin moving through, the Horgus just kind of... Yeah, it's good enough. You can get... I'll do a D4 for this one as it's a little less. 3. Well done. The NPCs are pretty quiet at this point. Where the cavern gets a little narrow, Arvashniel puts his hand out to feel along the sides of the cavern. She's limping, and it's awkward. One of her hands has to be on the crutch, but Anivia has her bow out in her other hand, and she's just kind of looking behind her as she keeps going. Horgus has gone dead silent, and he's clearly very uncomfortable that he's that close to the front as Delvin just squeezes through. And all in all, it ends up being about like 30 minutes of just flat silence. Since we've resolved our marching order, first through will be Tempe, if Tempe can make a perception check.
Yes, perception. Did it go? No, it did not. There we go.
Okay, solid. Okay, so, shabam.
Oh, hey, hello.
As you begin moving through, you make it first by probably about, I'd say like 10, 20 feet before Horgus catches up to you.
It's a little housey thing.
It's a little housey thing. Matter of fact, it's a single sizable 20-foot tall building sitting in the center of a 30-foot high cave. It kind of like everything terminates here. A bunker-like structure with no windows and walls, with no windows and walls of worked stone blocks. A 10-foot-long carving of a hammer decorates the building's facade. The ruins of collapsed outbuildings stand either side.
Ooh.
Toe rags.
Well, I will pop over here. Is that the entrance there?
Yeah, as you move there, I'm going to make a quick check. Make a perception check if you would, please, actually. Okay, I'm sure that beats my stealth, so there will not be a surprise round.
There wouldn't have been a surprise round anyways from me.
Why not?
He can't
Be surprised.
Oh, neat. Well done. My stealth is... I had nothing to my stealth. I literally just have a 5. Okay, so as you approach the door, it's about as big as you are, and I'll set it to visible. A fly moves its way down from the top of the building. Initiative stays the same, and it'll be awkward with this marching order. Congratulations, you've disappeared. My initiative is 11, which means Kieran had an 11. So I go after Kieran. I go before Kieran. No, I go after Kieran. Okay, so Delvin is first. As you're squeezing through this passageway, you hear the sounds of gigantic wings.
We have to get forward into there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I say to the merchant and move with him, because I can't do anything here. We have to get up into here unless we just want to drop the scaly dude and have me step over him.
Yeah.
But
the passage is difficult enough to navigate that you can't cut in line in front of Horgus without harming him. So you say that to Horgus, you want me to go for... No, I'm not turning into some damn giant fly food. Let the lightning woman handle it. I'm not moving. Mm-mm.
If she dies, you die.
Okay. Everyone's eyes get a little wide at this because that kind of talk isn't often heard in Deus Vault land. Make an intimidate check.
Yeah, I truly I'm starting to regret my choice of negligible charisma.
That's what intimidating prowess is for.
That is quite true.
Yeah, you can get a thing that adds strength to your intimidate.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you say that, and he's just, well, we are fine. Do you know where we live? We live next to the bloody whirlwind. If I get killed, my soul will go on to Axis, and I'll serve with Avadar and his vault. And at this, Anivia in the back says, "Oh, now you want to talk about your faith? I'm so surprised. I thought you liked to hide it from everyone." And, "Shut up, you damn thief! You only know because you broke into my warehouse." And as she says this, she has Iomede's holy symbol pulled, a necklace on her, like around her neck. She pulls it out and like makes the cross on the sword. As things are being said that the LG, or the various Gs rather, are not cool with. Aravashniel is just quiet. In any case, Horgus will not be moved.
I pull out my popcorn.
Yeah, accurate.
If unless I hear something truly ugly happening in the other room, well, there's not much I can do.
Okay. Then it sounds like it passes to Kieran. So I'm going to say there's mechanically, where everybody is here, there's 25 minutes of marching, but I'm going to say Horgus is 20 feet behind the last square you can see, like here. 20 feet behind that square, and then immediately behind him in 5-foot increments go the party, with the exception of the 10-foot where the large creature is.
30, 35. Okay, I'm within range.
Okay.
That's all I care about. Minus 20 to that. No,
Minus
wrong
20.
thing.
Oh, your stealth.
Minus 20 to that. That's normal. There's that. And
So
then,
the fly is flat-footed. The 18 has a -4 on it because you don't have precise shot.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, for real? Well done. Okay, you definitely hit
I think.
them.
Do I?
You shouldn't. Do you have point blank
No.
shot? Well, point blank shot
No.
is not in Elephant in the Room. It's not required. But it is a level 1, or not level 1, but it is a feat. Otherwise, there's a -4 on attacking into melee. Yeah. Regardless, it hits. The 14 would still connect for a grand total of 3 damage. Fair enough. A teeny tiny little rock hurls past everyone.
Wait, no, that's not right.
What's up?
That is definitely not right. Something is off, and I will go and remedy it.
Okay, what would be off, do you think?
My
Your dex?
damn it. I don't get. That's not applying my dex.
So
it's 5 higher.
Okay, got it. So we do 8 damage. The fly gets whacked in the head. Continues to buzz its flight pattern a little, yeah, but it is hit, and it passes to it. It's going to 5-foot floop 1 over Tempe's head, and how do I even attack? I have a bite. Neat. Here I go. So it's a 20 to hit Tempe.
It's a 20 to hit him, Tempe. Okay, it hits, and then I used Windy Escape.
Okay. Doesn't that just stop crits and sneak attacks?
It also gives me DR10.
Oh, neat. Okay, fair enough. So that means no damage is assigned. And I have to assume... Yeah, okay. So as this thing's proboscis comes out and bites into you, you definitely, without having to think about it, know this thing's probably super dirty. But since you take no damage, you would not be exposed to the disease on the end of its bite, and it passes to you.
All right.
You and that windy escape.
Huh?
You and that windy escape. Like one of my commenters said in the Session 0 video, that spell is dirty. That spell's also very good.
It is, and it gets worse as time goes by, but it'll still be good even at level 20 because the first crit of the isn't going to go off against me, so that's nice.
Right. Yeah. When you start fighting that Baylor and the Vorpal stuff comes into play, you gotta worry about it. Okay.
That's a 15 to hit.
Yeah, you got him. 15 hits. So
and 3 damage.
Okay, understood. It's not looking good. You like lean back and it hits the wind and is pushed back, and then you stab forward into it. It's not dead, but it's definitely feeling it.
It doesn't particularly have a chance against me.
That's the spirit.
Now, a few of these would. Like, if we ran into a swarm.
Yeah, fair. If swarms are mean. Anyway, if that's all from you, it would pass back to the top of the initiative and Delvin.
Yep.
And somebody's real cool out there. Oh, they're just stuck. Never mind. I feel bad. I thought someone had a dirt bike. No, that's just icy. And it's on Delvin. Horgus still stands in the way.
Looking at something. How far away am I from the deal?
It would be essentially it'd be like this.
Am I within 25 feet?
You are not.
Exactly. I think
you are. Let's see here. Horgus is 5, 10, 15. Horgus is at the 25. You'd be 35 feet.
If I'm at 25 feet, I can cast Ray of Frost at it.
You're at 35, not 25. So
35. Horgus, if you would please move closer, I can help them.
No, I'm not. You threaten my life and try to tell me what to do. I have none of it. Puffs his chest up. It'd be another intimidate check.
Or diplomacy. You could go to.
I would go diplomacy.
Fair.
Because this isn't do this or I'm going to bash you like you deserve to be bashed. I'm indicating that for the good of all.
I have to wonder if there's not like a forum somewhere where I, the GM, can check and be like, how many parties? Well, yeah, no, actually, Kieran, you ran through this. Did you just ditch Horgus? I imagine a lot of people have a lot of problems with him.
Yeah, no one ever likes him. You either need a super diplo or you need an asshole.
His check is real high. Yeah, he will not be moved. I'm not moving. We just let the little one could fly out in front, or you could keep throwing little pebbles and stuff. If fly looks like it's on its last legs anyway, it'd be totally fine.
I mean, he's not wrong. It's going to be fine.
I mean, I'm not wrong. That fly has like 3 hit points left, and on the other hand, the 15.
Yes, but I could potentially take that 3 hit points before it has a chance.
I know, but okay. I actually don't want to put my life at risk, so I'm gonna let the little one go do the fight. Sorry about it. Anyway, you could. There's nothing saying you couldn't like move him. He will resist the grab, of course, but
I'm going to resist the urge for the moment.
All right. Kieran, what you got?
Yeah. Did I pass my stealth check?
Yeah, hold up. 1 second. Probably. I think I had like 4. You have a 16. Yeah, no, you passed it. It is completely unaware.
Okay. Boop boop. Boop boop.
Okay.
Boop 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 boop.
Flavor that knockout.
Oh, I just rolled it in the wrong order. Okay.
Yeah, it's all good.
I kind of stretch my head around Aravashniel, swing up my sling, and let the stone fly, and it flies through and hits him right in between his contact lenses.
And down he goes, knocked out.
But they're fun.
Because they're fun. Alrighty. So with that done, now that it's dead, Horgus is more than happy. He's, well, now you don't need to threaten me, do you? You don't really just fly all knocked up, and he moves forward and just steps on it. Killing it super dead.
I go grab my 2 friends.
As you guys move into the room without making the check, Delvin would definitely recognize Torag's holy symbol.
Ah, good old Torags.
Alright, so checking out the door.
Okay, make a perception check. The door is super trapped. It blows up.
Oh no!
Do I have trap lightning?
You do not. With a 14, as you go to take a look at it, it kind of dawns on all of you that this is a for some reason, there's a long abandoned temple of Torah down here, and it's pretty. Everybody, like, the awkward infighting goes to like weird silences. Everybody can see that Anivia gets a little despondent as she sees it. She pulls her symbol of Yomade out and begins like rubbing her fingers like this down the blade, almost like nervous, twitchy. As this happens, Horgus just like as he moves in the direction of the door, just damn thief slowed us down. Perhaps we need to split up. Which seems to imply pretty hard that he thinks it's best to just leave her to her fate. And as Anivia hears this, she goes from like despondently playing with her holy symbol to just, I'm not surprised that a man who would hide his own faith couldn't be moved by a forgotten temple like this. To be ashamed of your own faith, it's as bad as worshipping the demons. Well, it's how ironic to be chided by someone like you. Damn dirty thief.
What the hell is your two backstory? Because clearly, you got history. And it's causing us problems now.
Make a diplomacy check.
Nope.
They don't hear you. You're as small as you are. You try to make like, what is your problem? But they're too busy. Just, you damn thief. And Anivia reaches down for a sword, doesn't draw it, but is like clearly crosses her mind. So much so that she lets go of the cane and she stifles back the cry this time as the weight hits it and the bone is not happy with that. Vashniel says nothing.
Well, I'm gonna check out this. I'm gonna try and open the door.
Okay, the door opens.
Hey, Tempe, can you come deal with this?
No.
Okay. Understood. Make a perception check.
Perception, sure. Sure.
A stone bench lines the southern wall of this chamber. At the far side of the room, a basin of water sits atop a stone pedestal. A stone door engraved with an image of a hammer stands to the north.
Okay. I'll open that one as well.
Okay. Opening that. We can probably do that. And yeah, it'd be fine. Okay.
Or what? Before you do that, what's in the basin?
Water.
I don't know.
It is a basin of water. So as the door opens...
Couldn't be holy water.
To the lady fighter, as the others go in, I would say, if you could join them, Horvath and I can guard from here.
Alright, fine. Works for me. She begins moving in. If I could get another perception check as that last door opens.
Oop, not for me.
Broken stone benches line the narrow room. The air is cold and stale, and thick layers of dust cover the floor. Benches and a large altar at the far end of the room. And at the far end of the room, leaning up against the altar, there is what you assume must have been the shrine's priest. He's seated on one of the benches, actually, facing the altar. His back is turned to you, a hood drawn up over what certainly must be his body.
Is the hood looking tattered?
I'm sorry?
Does the hood look tattered?
Yeah, and it's covered in dust.
Okay.
So as you move in, we're going to keep initiative the same. I'm going to roll for this guy as... Man, I cannot roll. I'm going to always beat Tempe, so that's sweet. That's my silver lining here.
You're not losing against me.
Yeah, and so this thing rises in undeath. Actually, it actually beat Kieran, too. If only just, it does beat you.
What, like a 4 or a 2?
Yeah. The clearly dwarf man, or at least he used to be, rises in undeath and turns to face Tempe. Delvin is again top of the initiative.
Delvin has no idea really what's going on.
You hear the sound of an undead creature shrieking.
Okay. Can I tell relatively, am I aware of basically what the layout is inside?
More or less. Maybe not the exact floor plan, but you can see the outsides. Actually, you probably would recognize just kind of a basic shrine to Torag.
So I would have an idea that they would probably be in a main room.
There's probably just that one
out
room
there.
and then like an antechamber. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay, then I will move over here, and I have, as part of my racial trait, Stone Seer. Once a day, I can use as a spell-like ability Stone Shape.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Okay.
So I rip myself a door in the side of the place.
So as you go to cast it, everyone hears this and everyone sees it. As you put your hand, like, going to touch the wall to resolve Stone Shape, just short, there's the sound of just the biggest hammer you could imagine rigging off an anvil in a quick flash of light, and without expending the spell, it opens for Delvin. And Delvin can see the priest risen in undeath, who does spin.
And that was without using his once per day thing?
Yes.
It just opens?
Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Well, I am a dwarf.
So what that means is you didn't use your standard action.
Okay.
That's true.
If that's the case, I will smite him mightily in undeath.
Alrighty, make it happen.
Lord willing. Or Torag willing.
Oh.
Probably
a 9
not.
certainly misses.
I was a little surprised by the
Opening of the door.
Yeah, a 9 does miss his flat-footed, and you swing it. It's actually also probably still a little awkward for a weapon that needs a wide arc to resolve to swing in. There's not quite enough room.
Now, can I also use the spell combat to...
So spell combat is another... You could, if you could cast something as a swift action. How that works is you would need to have usually I explain my magi to people like Skyrim, but I imagine you haven't played Skyrim.
Yeah.
It's drawing a second weapon. The thing about spells that you have to touch to resolve, like Shocking Grasp, for example, when you cast it, you can choose to what's called hold the charge. So you just have like lightning in one of your hands and your weapon in the other. At which point, yes, you could.
Too, though, right?
He has spell combat now. At first, he gets spell strike at second.
Spell strike.
The one that goes through his weapon.
Yeah.
In any case, speaking of going through his weapon, this thing turns and sees you, and it raises its hand, and this one's smart enough to step. It steps Delvin's direction, and let me see if I have any spell likes. Oh, I have improved initiative. That's why I'm cool. I get it now. This guy will full attack with both of his claws. There we go. All right, so I have a 22 and a natural 20.
Yeah, both of those.
Okay, so then I don't know if we've talked about this. In this group, do we want to... Am I rolling extra dice for a critical, or am I rolling the dice once and then doubling, tripling, etc.?
I like extra dice.
Okay, extra dice it is. So
also, before you do that, you need to roll to make sure you crit.
Oh, yes, that's right. You're right. Oh, rough.
You did
So
not.
that's 6 is not confirmed. Fair. Okay, so then in that case, you take 4 points of damage as this thing moves forward and its claws rake into you. Then if you can make a pair of fort saves for me.
D4 plus 1?
1d4 plus 1.
Okay.
Literally minimum damage. Okay. Oh my.
Oh, never mind. Hey, you got that hero point, right?
You got that hero point.
I will take that hero point.
All right, make it so. Okay. In that case, the first one, as it goes to hit, there's a
Also, you need to roll one more time because you also rolled a 20.
He doesn't need to
That's not
confirm
an
it.
attack,
That was
that's
a natural 20 on a fortitude save versus the disease
Oh, that was
clause.
force save.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this thing goes to swing in, and it gets you pretty good, and you feel the wound start to fester. Then again, there's just a pong as the hammer hits anvil, and suddenly the wound isn't healed, but a lot of like gross dust and blood that sat forever and ever. Another vile filth is rapidly expelled from you. The 10 passes on its own. And then in addition, let's say, what I want to do, it provokes from Delvin. This thing is pushed back by the might of Torog, and it gives Delvin an opening.
Oh, there you go.
I like doing that on crits and fumbles, just a free it provokes. However, a 12 does not quite hit.
And I would have to use, I couldn't cast a spell.
Right, you have to use the standard action at first to cast. Yeah. Imagine all your spells as being... Good.
How long does it take to cast a cantrip?
One standard action, unless otherwise noted.
Okay. Would that be the amount of time for future? Could I cast a cantrip as my attack of opportunity?
You cannot.
What you can do, though, is cast something prior to a fight, and then you can just hold on to that until the fight actually starts.
That is very true.
Okay.
Imagine holding your weapon in one hand and the fire in the other. Now, granted, if you touch anything or something touches you, the spell is discharged, but you can have it out and ready, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was worth a thought.
In any case, it passes to Kieran.
Has he seen me?
Did you make a stealth check? If you did, I didn't see it. Opposed by my perception check, which is probably a little better than the flies. Yeah, no, you're good. I
Okay.
have a grand total of not much.
I was looking at 12 foot of angry dwarf.
Pretty much.
I will take a bottle and scoop it through the water and check it.
Okay, that works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why
Plus...
are you rolling D4s for?
I was assuming it was holy water.
Does holy water do D4s?
It's 2d4s versus an undead, I thought.
I thought it was more.
I shall look.
Yeah, hold up.
Holy water deals 2d4.
Oh, yep, you're right. Never mind. Fair enough. Okay, make a touch check too, also, if you would.
Oh, that's fair.
To be fair, 2d4 is better than a d8, so...
Correct. I thought it was 2d6.
Go.
Yep, that definitely hits his touch. It hits, and it burns into his flesh as he turns. And
And there's +4 to that.
oh, nice. Fair enough.
And we will take a -20 on this.
On a 12, and he does see you. Turns in your direction and says something in Necrol, which I imagine nobody understands, his hand reaching out. And now it passes to Tempe, who's last forever.
Do I get sneak attack on that? I don't know if you get it on Throne Splash.
Yeah, you would.
Oh no, that's not a +1. That's just straight.
Just the straight 4.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That's actually a 9, but I don't think that hits
A
anyway.
9 does indeed miss.
All right. On the upside now, you get a +2, and you are always getting your sneak attack because he's flanked.
Accurate. Okay, that sounds like it passes to Delvin then.
Okay. I will burn 1 point out of my arcane pool to add a +1 enhancement to my weapon.
Okay.
And let us beat this guy's skull in.
I definitely forgot the Magus got an arcane pool at first. Nice.
Yep.
Like, you're not 4th level. Hold up. But that's monks. Make it so. That hits.
That hits. Yay. So that would be +5, 1, and 2. So 15 points.
Okay, if you would flavor that kill.
as it turns around saying unpleasant things in Necrol, I see the opportunity and I just bisect it across the back, one shoulder to the opposite hip.
Nice. And it's not hard to cut through the dry bones, and it just kind of slides. And as this happens, okay, yeah, as it happens, there's another like a bong, as and that's definitely not the sound of a hammer on an anvil, but you get it. And as that resolves, the undead beastie fades away into nothing. And I think that's where the 3-hour mark at this point. I think, yeah, actually we're quite over it. Okay, cool. So that is where we're gonna call it for today. That was fun. I didn't necessarily know how, like, I'm down to GM whatever, but I didn't know if I would like Wrath of the Righteous, the Deus Volt AP. I didn't know how I'd feel about it, but so far so good. It's been a lot of fun. Large creatures in the dungeon are always fun. I will say that. As someone who often has a big tiger or something with him. Yeah. Know that feel. Never been on the other side of it. Feels bad, man. Anyway, thank you guys for watching on Twitch. Thank you guys for watching on YouTube. Be sure to like, subscribe, ding the bell for all your sweet Pathfinder 1st and 2nd edition content, because you want to see how Mythic works, right? I don't know how Mythic works, and we're going to learn as we go. Anyway, say bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.